It's another Monday, the 12th day of the 9th month of September, and boy, does it feel good to be back. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. This right here is the AM show. Today, we have a surprise for you. I'm going to be doing this together with Mapitso Sibidi in the course of the week, in fact, so stick and stay with us. Wherever you are, thank you for joining us. Well, coming up this morning, we're going to be interacting with the Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, in the course of the news review. He'll be our guest. But then we get into our big stories, and the foremost we're going to be dealing with SIM card re-registration. Now, some Ghanaians have started that mass action against the Communications Ministry and the NCA. How will that turn out? A lot of concerns have been raised. People don't have the Kana card. How do you expect them to re-register their SIM cards? We'll be engaging our guests on the matter. Kojogo Adawudu is a lawyer. Selon Brantia is a policy analyst on governance with Imani Africa. And Sam George is Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, also a member of the Communications Committee of Parliament. And we'll also be joined by IT consultant Maximus Ametogo. All of them will join us. We'd also be connecting with our correspondents across the regions to find out what the sentiments of you are, the people, in respect of this issue. But also coming up today, President Akufo-Addo is expected to visit the Volta region. We're going to be engaging the regional minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, to find out a few things about what the expectations would be and single out some core problems in the region and how they're going to be addressed ahead of 2024. We'll also be taking thoughts from our correspondent, Ivy Setoji. Well, our newest Hotline documentary, A Dam of Promises, airs later today. I'm sure from the name, you can guess what's coming, A Dam of Promises. In this feature, we track progress on the Pualugu multi-purpose dam. Promises were made, $1 billion supposedly to go into that. We'll bring you more details when Albert joins us later on the show. But don't you forget, today being a Monday, you'd be having Drive Safe with yours truly. Yeah, look forward to that one. Learn something new about how to stay safe on the road and keep other people safe as well. Join us with your thoughts on these and other issues as we discuss them on the show via phone and social media. The hashtag is AM Show. And when we activate the phone lines, be sure to give us a call. We look forward to it. Up next, though, the best man on the news, Pakwesi Shandov, is going to be serving it to you hot. All the info you need with Pakwesi Shandov. Do stay.
It's the commencement of a new week. Welcome to the AM News here on the AM Show. My name is Pakwesi Shandov. To our very first story, former President John Dramani Mahama says President Akufo-Addo has lost the fight against corruption. He says the state coffers have been plundered contrary to assurances by President Akufo-Addo that he will protect the public purse. Mr. Mahama was speaking at the 2022 edition of the Yam Festival celebrated by the Sogli State in the Volta region.
As people in authority and in leadership, we must not massage the truth, but we must be bold always and fearless in speaking the truth. And I must say, one traditional leader who has always spoken the truth, no matter who is hurt by the truth, is Togbe Afede the 14th. And so, when a traditional ruler and a former member of the Council of State returns a gratuity that was paid to him because he thinks it was not necessary and he didn't deserve to have that money paid to him, he should receive acknowledgements and gratitude and not insults. Togbe, you're a man of principle, you're a man of conviction. And we all admire you for that. And so don't change, just continue being yourself. As I said recently, I want to assure all Ghanaians that the next NDC administration, as I've recently said, will revisit the matter of Article 71 emoluments, especially the issue of ex gratia payments and the size of government, to cut down on expenditure as a way of protecting our scarce resources. Togbi has been a powerful pillar in the development of our dear nation, and as a distinguished businessman and a respected traditional ruler who has served as president of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs and also the immediate past president of the National House of Chiefs. He's never shied away, as I said, from expressing his views on critical national issues. Ghana is the only country we have. We must therefore work hard and do all we can to protect it from abuse from whichever quarters that may come. Ladies and gentlemen, this government, the NPP government, has completely lost control of the fight against corruption. President Akufo-Addo, in his inaugural address, promised to protect the public purse. Today, even that public purse cannot be found. The revelations in the Auditor General's report for 2021 is simply a microcosm of the real extent of the seeming institutionalization of corruption under this administration. I'm glad that you're using this festival to draw attention to this important national issue that requires the support of all citizens to address. The economic hardship in Ghana today is unbearable. Cost of living has increased.
The paramount chief of the Lower Axim traditional area in the Western region, Awulai Atibrukusu III, is asking government to expedite works on the Axim Sea Defense project. The Awulai spoke when Western Regional Minister Kwabena Ochre Dakumensa paid a courtesy call on him as part of his 3-day working visit to the Nzima area.
The chief says the 5-kilometer sea defense project, when completed, will help save the lives of his people, enhance livelihood and boost the local economy of the area.
Sea defensive one, a fan one on the wage and inti say upon wajila or yatete. On that why ya woke to be into witcha. A horse or the phone pa. This upon wajila, you know why your baby or chedama would be upon into Ponoco kedi baby into say. Yamasi ankana kwa sapunira ahono ya tete nti se wontum yeni yankopa wakakra ne de odo wotumbe ntia na wa abon won supporting no man ye bia wa yi won so wodo aba foforo so yan support biara ya de ba mo won da ya kan de politicians and they should see nananom as partners towards development. By any bin mo hu yende na nanom yan won struggle position. I want my muti meditate 34 years we go do. Want to am mam. O ya dem be na mnyu be struggle. We go amede. It is really there bia mobu amamu a onye. We are ever ready to support whoever is ready to do what is expected to do for the people of Nzima.
The Axim Sea Defense was a campaign promise by President Akufo-Addo after a tidal wave swept away a young man in the community in 2016. The president, commiserating with the family and community, pledged commitment, which saw the project commence in September 2018. The Western Regional Minister Kwabena Ochre Dakumensa revealed that the project is 85% completed. He assured the chief that despite the delay in the project, it would be completed as scheduled.
I'm very, very happy. So far, you can see that all the structures virtually are up, just left with finishing. And you can see the quality of work as well, even though it's not been finished. You can see the daycare, you can see the net mending area, the market, the sanitary facilities and the offices. So we are very happy that this project so far is about 85% complete, and therefore we expect that the little that needs to be done should be done within up to by November, December. We should be able to complete it. But so far they are using it, so it's not bringing any hardship to the people, but at least we should need to tidy it up and finish it up. Yesterday we discussed with the Assembly that the economic planning team there should relook at one, industrializing the fishing business here, and also making sure that it can have a huge impact on the community itself, because Axim is an ancient town, and it used to have the first bank in West Africa here.
Bank of British West Africa.
Bank of British in Axim. So they should be able to go back to those times with increased economic activities.
The minister and his entourage also inspected progress of work on the construction of a mini harbour and fishing landing site in Axim. He pointed out that the assembly is looking at industrializing the fishing business to have positive impact on the people. The project being executed by China Harbour Engineering Company is also about 85% completed and will be completed in December this year. In Athalia Kwansa, JoyNews, Axim.
Principal State Attorney in the Upper West region, Saeed Abdul Shaker, is worried about how criminals are shielded by residents because of blood relations. He says the communal chorus of "We are all one" is an affront to fighting crime in the region. Mr. Shaker spoke at an event by the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council to honor 7 female police personnel who have been serving for almost 2 decades. Rafik Salam reports from Wa.
According to the Principal State Attorney, Lawyer Saeed Abdul Shakur, one of the stumbling block to fighting crime in the Upper West region is the subculture of the people codenamed Tijabuyeni, to wit, "We are all one."
This is one of the most difficult places for any public service worker to work. And it is 10 times more difficult for an average law enforcement person. You know why? Because Tijabuyeni. An average person that lives in what is prepared to sell and buy crime at any price, to the extent that it is the criminal is a family member. As far as an average person in Upper West is concerned, his family member can never be a criminal. From the mundane to the ecclesiastical, from the minor offense to the misdemeanors to the felonies, people are ready and willing to go to any length to ensure that the criminal works.
Lawyer Saeed Abdul Shakur, speaking at a ceremony held by the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council to honor 7 female police personnel who accepted postings to the region and have stayed, worked diligently in the region between 14 and 19 years, however, posited that the complexion has changed the last couple of years. The 7 police personnel are Inspector Ladimo, the oldest among them, who served 19 years in the region, and accompanied by General Sergeant Monica Naber of the SWAT unit and General Sergeant Leila Salifu of the court unit, who both served 16 years each. Inspector Diana Anaba of the SCID and General Sergeant Rujana Yamo of the audit unit both served 15 years each, whilst Detective Chief Inspector Stella Niabi and General Sergeant Victoria Ndolebi also served 14 years each. Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali was full of praise for the 7 female police personnel.
On my part, I have the utmost regard for our police ladies because I find them to be more committed and diligent to duty. Each of them will receive a certificate of recognition and an amount of 1,000 Ghana cedis each. Except Inspector Ladimoro, who will go home with an amount of 2,000 Ghana cedis.
The minister also hints of plans to resume the construction of the regional police headquarters, which has been abandoned and overtaken by weeds. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Let's now turn our attention to the Bono East region, where residents of Dromankese in the Nkrasa North District are asking government to commence rehabilitation works on the Busunya Dromankese Road. The residents who have the backing of the chief of the area, Nana Danso Abiam, say they've been neglected by successive governments and are ready to chase out revenue collectors if their demands are not met. Anasabet has more in this report.
On the 25th August 2021, the concerned citizens of Dromankese presented a petition on the poor nature of Busunya Dromankese Road to the Bono East Regional Minister and copied the District Chief Executive of Nkrasa North District and the chief of Dromankesi.
Are the concerned citizens of Dromankesi in the Nkranza North District of the Borno East region, led by its spokesperson Johnson Jan. The group in August last year planned to embark on a demonstration to press home their concerns on the deplorable nature of the Busunya-Dromankesi road. However, the intervention of the chief of the area, Danso Abiam, led to the suspension of the planned action to give space for the new DCE and regional minister who were newly appointed by government.
The chief of Dromankesi, Nana Danso Abiam, advised us to suspend the demonstration, as the regional minister and the DCE had assumed office, and we needed to give them time to settle down.
After the suspension of the protest, the road was awarded to contract, but sadly, the said contractor has abandoned the project nearly 7 months ago. Today, the concerned citizens of Dromankesi are back to officially give government, district and regional authorities a 14-day ultimatum to intervene in this series of demonstrations until their demands are met.
We cannot allow these roads to wallow in such unsatisfactory conditions. We therefore state that 14 days after this press conference, if the contract is not brought back on site to resume work, we will have no option than to embark on series of demonstrations until our demand is met.
The group say despite the significant contributions of Dromankesi to revenue generation of the district, little is being done about their plight.
Almost every year, we generate the highest revenue for the district. Actually, we, the citizens of Dromankesi and its surrounding communities, feel neglected and cheated for a long time.
The situation is impacting negatively on the lives of the people, especially when pregnant women are referred to either Nkranza or Techiman during labor. The road has been terrible this rainy season. A pregnant woman en route to Nkranza after referral spent hours on the road because a long truck blocked the road. It took the intervention of some men to get her to cross to the medical facility. Drivers plying this route are equally unhappy about the current state of the road. They say they end up spending a lot on maintenance due to the terrible nature of the road. It takes us about an hour to Busunya, and even though fuel prices are high, we get nothing on this route. We end up damaging our car parts. Chief of the area, Nana Danso Abiam, whose intervention averted a planned demonstration last year, expressed worry at the level of neglect by successive governments and noted that he is currently in support of the steps taken by the youth, and this includes a possible move to stop revenue collection by district financial officers. If we decide to stop our revenues from being taken to the assembly and decide to channel the amounts raised into maintaining the road, I think that would be of help. So if we do not see anything within the next 14 days, we'll start with our demonstrations to help ourselves.
So the abandoned Busunya-Dromankesi road finally saw it awarded to a contractor. The people here say the contractor has left site without official communication. They are appealing to government to, as a matter of urgency, come to their aid by ordering the contractor to return to site to ensure that this particular road project is completed as soon as possible. From Adumasa along the Busunya-Dromankesi road, my name is Anna Sabit reporting for JoyNews.
Still outside of the capital, residents along the Shidim-Kenyasi stretch in the Isutifi North and South districts of the Ahafo region would soon heave a sigh of relief as contractors work briskly to complete rehabilitation works on their road. Officials of Kofi Job Construction are positive about completing the 8.2-kilometer stretch of road before its scheduled completion in 2023. Lava FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku reports.
The deplorable road from Widiam to Kenyasi has over the years incensed residents, including traditional rulers, to stage a series of protests against the government. The dusty and muddy nature of the road impacted adversely on socio-economic activities, with many local businesses grinding to a halt. But the road projects, abandoned by contractors in 2020 over alleged financial constraints, has gradually taken shape as a total of 1.5 kilometers of the road receive asphaltic overlay, with the remaining stretch seeing base layer construction works. Project engineer of Kofi Job Constructions Limited is promising a speedy but standard completion of the road to ease burden on road users.
We've done almost about 3.5 kilometers. The entire road is about 8.2 kilometers. So far, we're almost halfway through. So we are praying that God willing we'll be able to complete on schedule. It's been the help. This has been a collaboration between Newmont, Ghana, the government, the chief, and the community. They have been helpful. And, it has really pushed up the work speedily for us.
The road links 5 adjoining communities to the Ahafo South mine of Newmont's Ghana Gold Limited. Commenced 3 months ago, the 8.2-kilometer road project is a fully funded construction initiative by the gold mine. The project, worth 71 million Ghana cedis, forms part of the mining company's efforts to enhance social relations with communities within its catchment of operations. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Suleiman Ukoni, is confident the road project would revive economic activities within the enclave.
Looking around, you see a lot of dust. You can imagine the mud which will be created when it rains. You have businesses operating within the enclave. It's proper that businesses have conducive environments to do their work. And that is why I'm quite elated about what Newmont had actually opted to do. We are hoping that in the near term it will be completed, and once it is done, some of us will want to come by to see the change that this road has actually brought to the community. Businesses around here would benefit. The chiefs and people here would also benefit.
Some traders and residents who spoke to JoyNews were optimistic of an economic boost in the communities.
The road is very beautiful. We can see the hand of government or whoever is doing it. We thank God for the development. Before, everywhere is very dusty, but now we are not seeing the dust here.
Yeah, now there's a difference. Before I clean, but now that doesn't clean it always again.
For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
That's all for the bulletin. My name is Pakwesi Shandov. The show continues with Benjamin Akakpo and Mapito CBD. Stay.
Well, and there you have it. Welcome back on the AM show. It's time now for the news review, and guess whom the net dragged in? Mapito CBD.
Hi, Benjamin. Good morning. This is the first time we're doing this, right?
Yeah. Very first time.
Yeah.
And you're looking all colorful.
Of course. The sun has been misbehaving, so I decided to take over the sun's role and be a bright and shining star for everyone.
Well, rise and shine. Here we are, getting the groove on. It's good to have you.
It's good to be here, Benjamin.
Anyway, so we dig into the papers, but we'll be joined shortly by Suleiman Abraima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. In fact, he has joined the conversation. Mr. Abraima, very good morning to you.
Good morning. Our very beautiful, shining lady. Great to connect with all of you this morning.
Okay, so the sound is a little low. I don't know what we can do about that. Maybe if you could increase the volume a bit as far as your connection is concerned.
It's better as we go along.
Right.
Sure, we hope so.
Mapito CBD is officially representing the sun in the studio, so That's why. Yes. Officially, she just made mention of it.
That's right. That's right. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Now let's dig into the papers, yeah?
You realize I'm on a tangent of mischief.
So I'm not going to entertain it. Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's start with the papers you have.
All right, let's start with Daily Guide. And the big story, the top story there is Galamsey Queen holds 6 videos of big men. And that's on page 3. We'll also go to page 3 where it says AG plans to scrap jury trials. And the last one is businessman vows to beat Mahama. But page 3, the big story is very interesting. Galamsey Queen holds 6 videos of big men. Now, seasoned journalist Abdul Malik Kwekubaku Jr. has revealed that Aisha Huang, the Chinese Galamsey Queen, who was arrested recently, has a series of recorded 6 videos involving big men, which she uses to blackmail them. According to the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, the notorious Chinese Galamsey has recordings of 6 acts captured on camera, as well as audio files with their private discussions of certain Ghanaians in positions of authority. Benjamin, your thoughts on this?
This is not the first time I'm hearing of this bit. If you recall, it had been in the news before. There had been rumors, word on the streets, the grapevine was that, yes, there was indeed something of this nature. But for it to resurface and for the likes of Abdul Malik Kwekubaku to give credence to it and state it categorically like this, it must mean that, like that proverbial blind man, he has his foot on something, the stone in this instance. But if that turns out to be the case, then we'd be asking ourselves, are these people sacrificing national interest for their personal interest? And just how much can she do to you? Yes, if she has it on you. So this axe is going to be hanging, across your neck throughout your life.
For the rest of your life, yeah.
Really. But let's find out what Mr. Brima thinks. Suleimana, what's your take on this?
Well, Ben, I would say that for now it's an allegation by Kwekubaku.
But you have heard it before, right? You have heard it in the past, because I have in the past too.
Well, yes, I've heard it before, but it's not been proven yet. So we will treat it as an allegation still. One may want to say, well, could it be the reason why the first time she was arrested, she was treated the way she was treated? We don't know yet. She's been arrested again under very bizarre circumstances that truly and honestly embarrasses our nation. And we can only look forward to the law taking its course, because, we've always been told that no one is above the law. And I don't think that referred to only Ghanaians. I believe it referred to people who conduct themselves in ways that are contrary to the provisions of the law within the jurisdiction of Ghana. And here we have a lady who was said to have been deported. We are told now she came in illegally, which is an offense. She was engaged in activities without permit, which is an offense. And we can only look forward to prosecution. The last time we read, the AG had instructed that the docket be brought to his office. And the belief is that it is to ensure effective, timely prosecution. So that's what we're looking forward to. Otherwise, she's a lady of age. It's unusual if she happened to have had an affair with any official, whether in government or out of government. And however that is treated is really up to them. For us, it's about the law taking its course.
Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up. You recall back then, there was similar rhetoric from the Attorney General's department back then until the interventions and Osafo Mafo's infamous comment and all of that. But something else that I found interesting, which has been making the rounds on social media. We've been told, Mapito and Sule, that she came in through unapproved routes. Well, some information out there suggests that she may not actually have come in the country through unapproved routes like the Immigration Service has been telling us. That's something we're keeping our radar on. But how bad would it be already for her to be back in the country after, being sent out and to be engaging in illegal mining? And if it turns out that she did in fact come through approved routes, what would that mean?
Well, whichever way, whether she came through an approved route or not, is a very serious embarrassment on our nation. And it only tells the extent to which our borders are quite porous, our immigration service and border control systems are not working, or at least are not working when it comes to those who have power and those who have connections. So for me, of course, the president at some point said that what Mr. Osafo said the action that was taken on hindsight was not the right thing to have been done. Fortunately or unfortunately, we have the lady back this time around, not just conducting the activities of illegal mining, but even the first offense of getting into our country without, the going through the appropriate procedures. So I believe all these things would come out during prosecution, because the charge sheet should have, reasons why she's being prosecuted. And I believe at that point we would get to know, at least as far as the state is concerned, what the facts are. I don't want us to really speculate on what people say, whether she got in through approved or unapproved routes, whether she was engaged in galamsey or not, and all those things I believe would come out during prosecution.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brahma. Let's go to page 6.
Do you recall, though, I just wanted to come in, do you recall when Mr. President put his presidency on the line when it comes to fighting illegal mining?
Yes, I do. And
I'll leave it there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's go to page 6, because another Chinese woman steals shares of Big Stone mining firm, and more details are emerging about how a Chinese woman conspired with her friend to allegedly steal 50% shares in the Big Stone Mining Company Limited in Bogoso in the Western region. What's happening with the Chinese and, illegal mining? Is it that our laws are not working, Mr. Brahma? What is really, really happening?
Well, what is happening is that we have a government in which the person who was appointed senior minister during the first term did tell us that, look, China, we depend so much on China. At that time, they were expecting some, at least $1 billion from China. And to that extent, perhaps based on what he was saying, it was as if to suggest that because of that dependence, it's okay for Chinese nationals to do anything in our country and to disregard our laws. And that is why when Aisha Huang was first arrested, despite all the catastrophic illegal activities in mining that she had conducted, polluting our water bodies, destroying our lands, destroying our forests, she had to be made to go scot-free. It is not surprising, because a recent investigations by the Fourth Estate pointed to the fact that, look, there are only 2 or so Chinese in our prisons. And we do know that hundreds of Chinese have been arrested alongside Ghanaians in these activities of illegal mining. And we have had a number of Ghanaians, a number of Nigerians, Ivorians, Ghanaian nationals in our prisons for illegal mining. So you ask yourself, how come when Chinese are arrested, they are made to go home? And when our own people are arrested for the same offense, they are jailed. It is simply because we have a government that sees itself as inferior, that sees itself as, so dependent on another country, such that its nationals can conduct themselves in whatever ways in this country and go scot-free. The same person is today the presidential advisor, to the president. And so if you have the person who feels that, look, Chinese can do anything in our country and go scot-free, at that time as senior minister, and today as an advisor to the president, of course, the Chinese will feel emboldened, because they still have at least the person who believes that, given the diplomatic relations between their country and Ghana, they can do whatever they like in our country. And it tells us, how inferior we see ourselves as Africans. And it also tells us the level of governance we are having, the bad governance we are having. The government that is looking on when our future is completely being destroyed. And all we hear is a lot about rhetorics. And then, of course, attacking our own citizens when they breach the law, which is right, but leaving other nationals to go scot-free.
All right, let me go to my last story on the Daily Guide, and that, Benjamin, I'm entertainment biased. and I love entertainment because now Sarkodie says you can't criticize us. You know, the rapper has called out Ghanaian radio presenters and pundits who criticized him and his colleagues for their inability to go international. According to him, those presenters don't have the moral right to do so if they haven't made any big career internationally.
I think Sarkodie is way out of line. I followed the conversation. I think it was George Quay with his team, Senior Ken and others who dilated on the matter. I think there are some. He was even, there was even talk about what makes you a pundit if you've not maybe achieved this or that. There are some people who are simply focused on expertise in the system. And they are not really in the system in terms of any deliverables, but theirs is expertise. But look, even Akon, he was at a point signed on to Convict Music, which is
I know.
Akon's brand. Why didn't he blow up? Shouts to Sarkodie for everything he's achieved, back-to-back 8 studio album jams in the offing. But when it comes to that international clout, what he could have done, especially with whether Pidgin or the English language, he simply didn't get that right. That is why when we're talking about real lyricists on the continent, you would see the BBC going for M. Diggity, Manifest, and others, rather than a Sarkodie. So it's like a Jay-Z, Nas situation. Sarkodie being like Jay-Z, but when it comes to the real spitting, you would look at
Nas.
Nas. So that's the kind of situation. But I really don't get why he was saying that because, look, you've done your bit. Akon himself criticized Sarkodie on that recently. He was saying that he was that star that never was because he simply didn't fit the international mold. He decided to be a local champion, so to speak.
Okay,
it is what it is.
Well, I saw, I think it's Michael Ortiz's tweet, and basically what Sarkodie said, if it be easy, do it. You get it?
Well.
Yeah. Well,
if it's easy, go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it.
Show us.
So that's to our presenters. And I mean, I think it's a call to our presenters to grow. It doesn't have to be like for the BBC or whatever, but to grow like locally, grow within your area or whatever expertise you have. Don't just stay on radio for 20 years and you've been the first, like Benjamin 5 years ago is still the Benjamin of now.
Exactly.
So basically, just grow. Benjamin, what else do you have there?
Well, I have some other stories. The Daily Graphic, let's get into that. Ghana's leadership in rule of law exemplary. That's according to the UK Attorney General. And speaking of the UK, interesting times because Kwesi Kwarteng is now the Chancellor of the Exchequer, basically like Finance Minister in the UK.
Yeah. I saw
Ghanaian
that.
parentage.
Yes, I saw that last
But spoiler alert, it does not mean that, Ghana is going to... I remember when Barack Obama became president, some Kenyans were like, oh, now the continent is Massa.
No.
That's not going to happen.
It doesn't work like that.
In fact, I think in his inaugural speech or something, he made mention of something like that, or there was a post on social media. So those are some good thoughts, at least, for Ghana. NHIS must cover prostate cancer treatment. That's according to a urologist. And then make Ghana card acquisition process faster, Electoral Commission to NIA. Let's quickly get into these stories. Let's turn to page 16 first. And there's, let's quickly get there, page 16. Where are you? When you're looking for the pages. Here we are. So Ghana's leadership in rule of law exemplary, and Ghana's leadership in the rule of law on the African continent has been acknowledged by the newly appointed Attorney General of the United Kingdom, Michael Ellis. Speaking at a meeting with Ghana's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Adame, in his office at the House of Commons in London, UK last Thursday, Mr. Ellis also praised Ghana for the strength of its justice system. It's interesting sometimes. It's reminiscent of when I interacted with Kristalina Georgieva, IMF boss. Yes, there is the political correctness, and we cannot say that Ghana is not one of the bastions of democracy and rule of law on the continent. But again, we've also had so many infractions in this country, and we cannot run away from them. I don't have to put up a list. We can go on and on. But at least it is good that we're getting the commendations. But this one, recently there was a bit of an uproar on social media when, I think it was on Insura or Love FM, when a urologist, said that, prostate cancer is that common, and the more you have intercourse and, then it means that if you have it, I think, about 4 times a week or twice a week, then less chance. And people took him on, and other urologists had different ideas. But this one has to do with prostate cancer being covered by the NHIS. And an appeal has been made to the government to include prostate cancer in the list of diseases covered under the NHIS. This is because many men are suffering from prostate cancer, but the cost of treating the disease is beyond the means of the average Ghanaian. And not just prostate cancer. Most of the other cancers, cervical, whatever, the cost is huge. You know, nowadays, people of, I don't know whether to call it brown or black descent, but even African Americans are more prone to prostate cancer than other groupings, racial groupings. And it tends to be same for Africans.
And do we know why?
Well, some of these things don't have, I don't know, there's no hardcore evidence. It's just, there are others too from other races like the Caucasians who are more prone to other things.
Certain things,
So it just, I think it's just the genes and the genes you inherit and all of that. But let me bring in this one so that Suleimana can react to the prostate cancer and this bit. Make Ghana card acquisition process faster, Electoral Commission to NIA. And the EC has called on the National Identification Authority to accelerate the pace of the printing of Ghana cards to make it easy for people to acquire their cards, as they will soon be the only form of ID for voter registration. This was mentioned, I think, in passing by the Vice President, Dr. Baumia, at a point. Then there was talk about it, and now it looks like it's becoming real. Suleimana, your quick thoughts on this. Maybe you can tie this one into the SIM card re-registration and how people are getting their lines blocked and all of that because they don't have the Ghana card and can't re-register.
Well, it's really a big development globally. I have been reading recent research by digital experts from the New York University, and it is titled "Digitalizing Our Way to Hell." And it talks about the various harms and, very dire consequences for human rights and other issues of life in this whole effort of digitalization around the world, which is being backed and pushed by the World Bank and other actors. Yes, we are told there are the good sides. It appears there are, but so far studies have not proven that these potential good effects are things that will really happen with the digitalization process. What it points out, this study points out, is the very serious issue of exclusion, particularly among the vulnerable and the poor. And everywhere this digitalization process has taken place, that has been a major concern. In fact, it is believed that all these digital processes around the world are being inspired by what has happened in India in they call it the Andhra project, in places like Estonia and in Peru. In all these places, it has been established that when this process is conducted the way we are conducting it in Ghana, you end up excluding a significant number of people who unfortunately turn out to be the marginalized. And that is exactly what we are witnessing here in Ghana. The people who have not been able to so far register their SIM cards, for which reason they've been disconnected partially through the autocratic decisions of the Minister for Communications, are predominantly the poor. And guess what? It's often, the usual thing, which is predominantly women. And these people are being excluded through no fault of theirs. Look, you have made it a requirement, mandatorily, to be able to register your SIM card, you must have had a Ghana card. If somebody doesn't have a Ghana card, how do they register? And then you say, look, because you haven't registered, I'm disconnecting you. That doesn't absolutely make sense. And then there are the whole human rights issues that so far nobody is talking about it because the government has control, has the upper hand. If you don't register, you get disconnected. Nobody is talking about the privacy issues. Nobody is talking about the issues of surveillance. And elsewhere, it's been done and we cannot rule it out. In Nigeria, when the process started earlier than we have started, through the national identification numbers, when it was rolled out, about 73 million people got disconnected. And I don't want to believe that these were people who were so recalcitrant that they didn't want to enroll themselves into the system. It is just because these are vulnerable people, these are people who may not have been able to get themselves registered with the primary document, and they call it the foundational ID.
Yeah.
We need to have a big conversation about this whole thing they are calling identification for development, which I said is being pushed by the World Bank and in complete disregard for the human rights consequences and the interest of the marginalized and the poor.
Are you then, just quickly, Suleiman, are you then implicating the World Bank, other Bretton Woods institutions who are supportive of these actions? Because you know the benefits as well of having a unitary system. So yesterday, for example, I had a chat with a friend who is Ghanaian, but he has his permanent residency in Canada, and very soon he'll get a Canadian passport. And he was telling me in Canada, look, there are 3 different source documents, cards, that I can use to prove that I am a permanent resident or I have the rights to do this. I can access everything in Canada. I don't need one card. But here we want to make it one card. Now the EC is also saying, get ready because this is going to be the only documentation. Are we getting it wrong?
Exactly. I mean, we talk about what is called civil registration vital statistics, which in Ghana used to exist. So people had passports, people have birth certificates, and the other civil rights, civil registration documents. In Ghana today, we are making complete nonsense of these documents. In fact, I don't know here in Ghana what document people can now use to prove their citizenship, because ordinarily it's supposed to be the birth certificate.
Yeah.
But when we're going for Ghana cards, we are told, no, your birth certificate cannot guarantee that you are a Ghanaian, and therefore you couldn't have used that. When we're doing the voter registration, people who had previous voter registration cards, they said no. Even your passport, they said no, your passport cannot serve as a guarantee of your citizenship. And that for me is completely weird. I don't know where else in the world that this system is being implemented. And I don't know how confident our authorities are in being able to offer absolute protection and, ensuring the security of the data that is being collected, to the extent that now everybody has to have a Ghana card, which would be the primary document for everything. People would say, oh, Estonia has done it. But Estonia started way back, and now they have e-identity. It's not just the card. They have e-identity. So even if you don't have the card, there's a way to go through to establish your identity and to establish your citizenship. I think that we are needlessly rushing our process. Of course, I can understand, because look, when it is done, there are political, ramifications for it. The government of the day now has access to everybody's data, people who are of age, people who can vote. They don't need to come to you to ask you, Ben, where are you from Ghana? They don't need to ask you your permission to be able to triangulate your data with other people to establish that, oh, okay, Ben's family tend to vote for CPP. Oh, okay, Ben's father is the CPP, this or that or that.
Yeah. Right.
And so they can use it for all manner of things. And I can understand why the government is rushing. With a SIM card registration, they can decide to know, where are you calling from? Who are you calling? At what time? What transaction are you making online? Who are you sending mobile money to? What websites you are visiting? And these are the big issues that we are not talking about here in Ghana. The government is just pushing it down on our throats without any sort of engagement, without any sort of citizens' participation in even the conversations, because we have the power. If you don't register, we disconnect. This is completely digital autocracy and digital dictatorship that we need to really, we need to fight. Otherwise, in the near future, our data is going to be used in ways that will become irredeemable. Your privacy, everything would have been taken away, and you cannot redeem it.
Sule, interesting point. So, Mapito, he calls it digital autocracy, digital dictatorship. And that's something else we must take a keen look at, even in terms of the rule of law that we are being lauded for. But we have other stories.
Other stories, let's go to the Ghanaian Times, where lecturer, 3 students die in road crash and several others sustained injuries in the eastern region. And now the accident, which led to several others sustaining life-threatening injuries, occurred last Friday. According to reports, some of them were rushed to the Eastern Regional Hospital. But Ben, preliminary investigations into the accident revealed that the two drivers were trying to swerve potholes, resulting in the head-on collision.
Ooh.
Right? So they were on their way to Mount Afajato in the Volta region. So I also want to tie this story to a story on page 7 about making facilities attractive to meet demands of the patrons. That's the Ghana Tourism Authority has urged operators of tourist sites. So page 3, lecturer, 3 students died in road crash. They were going to Mount Afajato, which is one of our tourist destinations. And the two drivers were trying to swerve potholes, resulting in the head-on collision. I mean, we've been talking about this.
I'm supposing this was from opposite directions.
Yeah.
At the same area. They were trying to swerve. And, sometimes you miscalculate because you think, oh, this person is coming this way. Let me veer in.
Or he'll wait for me. He can see.
Or he'll wait for me.
I mean, how long do we have to talk about the state of our roads?
Yeah.
What's the next thing? I mean, we're so eager in doing other things because this was a needless death, really. Like, these were needless deaths.
You remember, since you're so much into entertainment, Ebony Rains.
Exactly.
It's at least it wasn't a pothole or anything, but it was a pile of sand also on a stretch of the road, which shouldn't have been there. In trying to swerve it,
unfortunately,
this was the result.
She made her
Young life gone.
Mr. Brahma, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, how long do we need to keep on talking about the state of our roads? How do we avoid these needless deaths? What's the next step after talking so much about it? I mean, the government did say it was the year of roads. I don't know how that ended up.
This is our third year of roads, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So, year of roads, what's happening, Mr. Brahma?
Well, I think we can't say it enough in terms of the rhetorics of this government. I think that if fine speeches and promises were to be one of the indicators of good governance, I'm sure President Akufo-Addo's government would have been the best in the Fourth Republic. We've had, just so many things, and they all turn out not to be what we are told they would be. This is really a sad development, but I need to also emphasize the point that sometimes it's also just about being careful on the roads. And I say so because I believe a lot of our accidents are caused by drivers not adhering to the road regulations and what needs to be observed when people are driving. And I say this because if you look at the road accidents and the toll, the death toll on our roads, you would realize that a lot do happen on the roads that are good. Like, say, Accra Cape Coast Road. Several times you hear about accidents on Accra Cape Coast, Accra Takrady, or on the Accra Kumasi Road. And yes, there are spots that you would say are not too good, but to a large extent, a greater part of that road is not in bad condition. Or Kumasi, Kintampo. So a lot of
in fact, to corroborate what you're saying, some of the best roads actually also have some of the worst accident statistics because it appears that the roads are very good and so people speed on them. So I agree with you to an extent.
Exactly. So you often would not hear about these accidents happening on our feeder roads, which are really terrible and drivers have to navigate. You have to almost dance, on the road as you move. So I think it's more about driver indiscipline, tiredness on the part of drivers sleeping whilst they are driving, and those kinds of things do cause a lot of our accidents. It is not to take away the fact that the road network to our tourist sites are quite terrible. The last and first time I visited Kakum National Park, for example, the road was really, really terrible. And I asked myself, what are we doing? If we really want people to patronize our tourist sites, one of the things to fix would be the roads. So it's a major issue in terms of the state of our roads. But it's also important to highlight the fact that our drivers need to also be very cautious and very disciplined when they are applying our roads.
Okay, doke. Let me bring in two newspapers together because of the matters on the economy. But I'll just start with this. Central East Command records 2,972 land cases in 8 months. That's according to the police. That's in the Finder newspaper. And then decision to block SIM cards unlawful, unacceptable. That's according to the NDC. But let's focus on the economy. Ghana's return to IMF is necessary to fix debilitating economic situation. Dr. Gideon Boako, who was an economic advisor and spokesperson for the vice president, says so. Then economic stabilization high on government's agenda. That's according to Kojo Ponkroma, Minister for Information. But guess what? Two stories in the Economy Times that excite me. Banks excited over CD's free fall. You know why? According to the story, while publicly they are saying we need stability, you know, behind the scenes, they are excited about it because this means that in CD terms, their own assets have increased in value. And so they're actually excited about it, but they are not saying it. That's what Economy Times says. And the government adds 7.14 billion Ghana cedis to its debt. That was through the sale of treasury bills in August 2022. Quick reflections on that. I just want to find out, are you as hopeful as the information minister when he says economic stabilization is high on government's agenda? You know what? The CD is falling again.
Yeah.
I mean, it rose marginally against the dollar, and now it's doing a dance that nobody wants again. Suleimana, briefly on that, we are limited with time, so Mapito can come through with some final stories, please.
Well, in terms of economic stabilization being high on the agenda of government, I mean, there couldn't have been any other thing. Where our economy is, we are in dire crisis, and therefore the government has no choice but to prioritize the stabilization of the economy. And so for me, that is just about stating the obvious. It's unfortunate to see the city go down again, but I'm not surprised in terms of the point that is being made that the banks perhaps are elated because the stated capital that got a lot of banks into trouble is stated in cedis. And so if, for example, it's supposed to be 400 million cedis, and that used to be something close to, let's say, about 10 million or so dollars. And today, you can meet that same threshold with basically about far fewer dollars. That certainly is something that, in terms of calculating where they stand in the industry, perhaps will make them a little happy. But I don't think that it solves our problems. Even if the city becomes, $1 to 20 cedis, it obviously makes us worse. Even if you are earning in dollars, it makes us worse because at the end of the day, you will still have to spend in cedis and you will feel the impact. I think that government has to do far more. The debt toll on the country is so significant. And for me, it is about us and the future generations who would have to struggle to see how they pay this. Right. What it means is the future of this country is being made worse by the day. Yeah. And this cannot be a sign of good leadership or a sign of good governance. Whilst all these are happening, I am not seeing anything to show that the government is really taking the hard steps to ensure that at least on government expenditure, things are being cut. We still have the same number of ministers. We still not have the same conditions for ministers. And I don't know, maybe we are complaining, but they are seeing the situation in a different way.
Mr. Brahma, before we wrap up, one story I would like your thoughts on, from the Republic Press, and there won't be guarantee system anymore for voter registration, and that's according to the EC. Your thoughts on that?
Well, increasingly we are seeing the attitude of dictatorship and autocracy in a democracy being manifest in various ways and through various institutions. The Ministry of Communication, that is what is happening. This is what I say must be done, and I want it done. The EC is doing its own thing. Since 1992, we've had this guarantor system as a way of getting people onto the register. We are the same Ghanaians. What has changed? The same people. So what has been implemented that will take away the need for people to be guaranteed? If during the voter registration period I've lost my ID, my Ghana card, and remember that the Ghana card, you are issued just one single piece, and that is what you are supposed to use for your banking transaction, for your Momo transaction, for literally everything.
Right.
So that the possibility of losing your Ghana card, and it's not even the size of a passport that you say, okay, it's quite a bit heavy. This is just a card, and the possibility of losing your card. Remember, if you were to go to the banks those days, you would see people's voter ID cards, placed, on the counters. People who have visited the banks and have either forgotten or left their cards there. It is the same thing that is going to happen with a Ghana card, no matter how careful people would be. So the possibility that at a particular point, a number of people will not have Ghana cards is real. So if I misplace my Ghana card and the EC is doing registration and I have to re-register for whatever reasons, then what happens? And I cannot use maybe a day or two to get my Ghana card. What happens? Now, what I also know is that last week, a non-Ghanaian visited a Ghana card registration center. I think it's something around 1,200 Ghana cedis or so. And within that same day, got his Ghana card. The question I'm asking is, why is the national NIA unable to give to Ghanaians instantly and within the same day their cards? Because I know people who have struggled, people visiting the office now and then, and are still struggling to have their Ghana card. And here was somebody who went to a Ghana card registration center and got the card.
So interesting.
On that note, is it not like a supply and demand type of thing? Because there are more Ghanaians in the country
than the foreigners who may be trying to get the Ghana card.
So let's say we have like 20 Ghanaians and like 5 foreigners. It's easier to give the 5 foreigners their cards than to give the 20 Ghanaians their cards.
Well, that's also a point. But
it was a different type of card, but it's the same type of card. The only difference is the information. If you go a foreigner, your biometrics will be captured, everything, and it's printed on the same card. Whatever the technicalities are the same. And for me, is it a question of how much people pay? Is it because the foreigners are supposed to pay more and therefore they are privileged in terms of how and when they can get their cards?
So, Sule, that is a very interesting point you make, curious point, but we'll have to leave it here. Maybe some other time we'll have enough time to discuss that. Sports is up next, and of course, Ediana shocked Hearts by, beating them, I think by a 1-0, pipping them. So Hearts evoke, never say die, but they've already started the season looking very shaky in their very first match. We'll bring you more of that in sports. Do stay. Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back on the AM show. And we get into our big stories. We're talking about SIM card re-registration. Thorny matter. And now, of course, the other aspect or angle of it has to do with the Electoral Commission saying that we are also going to rely on the Ghana card. But let's get interactive with our guests, especially on the back of that class action that we're laying ahead as far as the court system is concerned. Joining us, Selom Brantier. He joins us via the phone lines, policy analyst with Imani Africa. We also have Kojoga Adawudu, a lawyer, and Sam Jata George, member of parliament for Ningo Pram, also a member of the Communications Committee of Parliament, and then Maximus Ametogo, who is an IT consultant. Gentlemen, for those of you who have joined the conversation, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right. So Selom, thank you for connecting with us. As of now, as far as we know, the NCA, the Communications Ministry, are going ahead. Some people have had their SIM cards blocked, so to speak. Just last week, over the weekend, we realized that a lot of people were complaining. But then we heard from the head of the legal team at the NCA, who basically put it that some of them are technically not what we see, that some of them went through only phase 1 of the SIM card re-registration process, forgetting to ensure that their biometrics were taken and all of that. Is that an answer that washes for you as far as the problem, so to speak, that has been created in the system?
No, the answer doesn't wash at all. And the reason is very simple. The moment you have a process that is fraught with so many flaws that people do not even know the status of their registration, whether it's point 1 or point 2, and you resort to punitive measures because your assumption is that such people are recalcitrant, then you have lost any basis or any reasoning around what we would call optimal and prudent policymaking. Because the truth of the matter is very simple. Why do you have a process that is so, circuitous, if I should put it that way, when there are far better ways to have optimally done this, where that stage 1 or stage 2 could have been combined into one stage? The process was not properly analyzed, was not properly thought through, was not properly implemented. And yet, in spite of all the warnings and all the suggestions and all the things people said in public, all they could do was to go ahead and pig-headedly install what they call disciplinary measures, because they thought people were rather incalcitrant and people rather did not want to do what they wanted to do the way they wanted to do it. But you see, this is a world where people are very busy. People have so many things to do and all of that. To the extent that the system itself was not built intelligently enough to be able to help people determine what status of registration there was, to the extent that there was no education or very little education to let people understand which level of the registration there was, to the extent that they are relying on one sole criterion for being eligible to do this, shows that this whole policy was one of exclusiveness and not inclusiveness. This whole policy was one where it sought not to include people into the digital world, which is a very fast-growing world and contributing over 60% of our GDP today, but rather trying to create a digital apartheid, destroy all the gains that have been made from digitalization, including the government's own initiatives and the ability of our citizens to access those same initiatives. So it is almost basically like we are rolling back time and undoing all the progress that we have conscientiously built up over the last 15 or 20 years.
So it appears we're rolling back time. I had an interesting conversation yesterday with a friend. He is a Ghanaian resident, a permanent resident in Canada. So he is fully Ghanaian. He's going to have his papers soon in Canada. And he told me that, look, he came into Ghana. He was trying to get, because he had been away for a while, so no card. He's trying to get a card that is a SIM card. He needs a Ghana card. He doesn't have a Ghana card. I told him there were some ways of maybe, I have read that you can use your passport in such instances. But he had tried to, no avail, without success. And he told me, look, why must it be this way when it comes to, and I'm just veering into the Ghana card situation, because where I'm from in Canada, I have this card, that card, the other card, permanent residency, among others. He showed me at least 3 cards he could use to access the same kinds of services that we require the Ghana card to access here in Ghana. Are we getting it wrong from that angle? Should we be considering other ways, mechanisms of, checking that someone is actually Ghanaian?
Absolutely. I mean, there is no jurisdiction in this world where you only have one basis of verifying your identity. In fact, in every system, in every digital system that runs, you always have to have what we call a redundancy or a fallback. In life, there's always a plan B. So in everything we do, we always ensure that there are what we call redundancies or fallback plans. You do not get up one day and say that everybody should only use the Ghana card for everything. What if the whole system collapses today? Are we going to say that then we can't do anything? No. So it is even very, very important for us to have had these redundancies, because you cannot mop up 100% of the population on one particular regime. It just doesn't happen. That is why there were so many alternatives people could use, and people were using them. So for me, it beggars belief that we are suddenly acting as if this is the first time we are doing anything digital in this country. And you see, what even is more shocking is the fact that the sole premise for all of this is the fact that we are supposed to reduce fraud, we are supposed to enhance security, etc., etc. And all these points are made moot when you only decide to use one basis of, one basis of verification. Because then in anything or for any system to be fully secure, you do not only use one point of reference. There should be others which should corroborate that single point of reference, because that is how these things work. And I wonder what kind of reasoning has been behind all of this from day one, because everything about how this process is being followed is actually everything that you would want, or every risk factor that you would be highlighted, that will be highlighted in any kind of project management, project implementation, policy creation, policy implementation scenario. It looks like we picked the most suboptimal ways to do everything and highlighted those ones as the only ways we can do anything.
So looking at where we find ourselves now, there is a class action that has been, started, and the last I checked, over 1,000 people had signed on to it, petitioning. There are people who have interacted with us at this media entity talking about the fact that, look, through no fault of theirs, some genuinely feel they are fully registered, biometrics and all, yet somehow they have been blocked. But if I listened to Dr. Poku Edu say clearly the last time he engaged us, he was talking about the fact that the NCA has nothing to do with this. In fact, the jurisdictional powers are in the hands of the telcos. How then do we remedy the situation from the standpoint of the telcos? Or do we necessarily have to go to the communications ministry?
I mean, Dr. Poku Edu is doing his job, trying to shift the blame. However, the telcos have done nothing wrong. The telcos are only frontline agents in a system that they have been coerced into implementing. The telcos have been running SIM registration and SIM activation activities for at least 10 years now, since the first law came in 2011. They have mastered the processes. They have implemented these processes, have been doing them instantly without any issue. All the telcos have their own interfaces that they have built and designed to accommodate their own internal systems and structures, and they have worked flawlessly. Have you ever heard at any time before this exercise about a telco not being able to register people for SIM cards? No. It is because they are the ones who are industry people and have done it efficiently. Then we have a minister who comes in and says that everybody should use the Ghana card. All well and good. Then you impose a software on them. The software doesn't work right. It is not the problem of the telcos. You have forced them to use the software. You force them to pay for every activation that is used on that software. And then you force them to implement or connect their systems to that software. And then you now force people, individuals, to connect to another software. And then now you are turning around to blame the telcos. How dubious is that? Somebody has to pay. That is why we are encouraging anybody who has been who has been affected, or who feels they will be affected, to join this class action suit, because it is high time government understand, or government officials understand, that the fact that they have executive fiat or the ability to make executive decisions does not mean that they can abuse it or run it anyhow at high cost, not only to people, but to even the same stakeholders in the industry that contribute to the tax that you require to build this nation. You cannot impose huge costs of people, emotional stress, disruption of business, disruption of social lives, blocking access to essential services, even including critical healthcare and emergency, and expect that people will just sit down and say that it was a technical glitch or it is the telco's fault. Let's not mince words here. The telcos have nothing to do with this. It's all lies on the NCA itself and on the sector ministry, the Ministry of Communication. Because note that in their circular, they said they were imposing disciplinary measures. That is the word they use. The key word here is disciplinary, which means that there's a pre-assumption that Ghanaians are recalcitrant, Ghanaians are stubborn, Ghanaians do not know what is good for them, and therefore they are telling us what is good for us. Meanwhile, there are standard procedures, standard implementation protocols, and things that were all ignored and thrown into the bin, all in favor of a suboptimal system that wasn't tested and foisted on us, the people of Ghana, by people who should have known better but decided not to do the right thing. So now, if we are here and we are having all these problems post-mortem, it is just very clear and evident that somebody needs to pay for this. And we are going to ensure that there's accountability for those people who think that they can just get up, implement any kind of rule or law, and then use state resources and abuse state resources and illegally charge people for things that were mandated and imposed on them without consensus, without any care as to how it to be implemented, with a devil-may-care approach. That is not how to run a country. And this will be a cautionary tale to anybody who tries that in the future.
You say someone must pay for this. A head must roll, basically. Must it be the head of the sector minister, Eslo Usu-Ekufo?
The blame is purely here. And in every MBA class or in every class on policy management from 10, it is going to be a flagship case study. And her name is going to go into the annals of history as one who has rolled back digitization in this country years back, because we are talking about SDG goals here. We are talking about, revenue projections in government. We are talking about so many sectors that are affected just because of such a recalcitrant attitude.
My final bit to you made mention of something before I bring in Maximus. So the telcos, for example, they make mention of the fact that, look, we have got the directive and we are applying it. But like Dr. Poku Edusei will say, it is the telcos who are implementing this. And so if some people have been wrongly targeted, it is the telcos that are to blame. Don't you agree with him on that? If someone has completed the re-registration process and the person is being targeted, that is not the fault of the NCA, and it can't be the fault of the Communications Ministry, can it?
I'm glad that you mentioned Dr. Poku Edusei. The same person, when being questioned about who ran the app, you see, you must know something. There are frontline people, and then there are the main implementers. Okay, the telcos do not own the same registry system. The telcos were not consulted in the design of the system. The telcos were only made to implement it based on the way the system was designed, the way the system was built, the way the system was, the interface of the system. They are only a service point or like a kiosk, okay, where people can go. So they are only offering to the best of, in the whole infrastructure, they are only offering what is literally a kiosk where people can go and have the service done. The actual service, Dr. Poku Edusei himself said, and it is on record, he said that it's the NCA that owns the system. It is NITA that hosts the database. He said, even when we were alluding to the fact that even on the Google Play Store and everywhere else, a private company called Excel Inc. Limited is the one that owns the system and has published the system on Google Play. He is the one that is insisting that it's the NCA that owns and runs the system under the auspices of the Ministry of Communication. Therefore, if the system has not been designed and built well, how do you tell the kiosk that the kiosk is the one that has a problem? When you buy a drink at a shop and the drink itself is not, is spoiled, you don't blame the shop owner. The shop owner is only an outlet. You blame the company that makes the drink. And in this particular case, the company that is making this vicious cocktail is the NCA, or the institution that is headlining this vicious cocktail is the NCA and the Ministry of Communication. It is not MTN, it is not Airtel, it is not Vodafone. They are only outlets who have been mandated by the NCA to deploy the process. You cannot blame them when your system itself is completely defective, to the extent that even the deadlines, even the timelines that you even profit for the provision of the application itself, you were 24 days late, and yet you still could not even implement the system rightly. And for now, even 30% of all smartphone users who are on the iOS platform or iPhone users cannot even do this. So you cannot look at all of this and say it's the telcos to blame. We must know that there are over 100,000 downloads of this particular application for self-service that have been done, and most of them don't even work well. And all of this, are you going to say it's the telco's fault? No. It is the NCA's fault and the Ministry of Communication. And they have to answer for it. And they will answer for it, inshallah.
Put it, you say it's the fault of the MCA and the Communications Ministry, and that inshallah they will answer for it. But let me bring in Maximus Ametogo. This is your area of specialty. You're an IT consultant. Tell me, the way we're trying to implement this SIM card re-registration on the back of a shaky Ghana card system, because we know millions of people, over 1 million people at least, do not have the Ghana card. What are the technical flaws you see in the system in terms of implementation?
Thank you, Evans. I think...
so this is Benjamin Akakpo.
Benjamin, sorry, Benjamin, it sounds like Evans. Right, so we believe that from my standpoint, right, the whole concept of re-registration, having heard it before, right, this is like the third time we are doing even a SIM card re-registration. Even the whole definition is supposed to be a subscriber registration or mobile number registration, not a card registration. That aside, people are already using the telecom network and infrastructure already. They have their SIMs in their mobile devices that they use to make calls and use data services. They have modems that they use for also data services. So for me, NIA, they've been able to do a very good job, a yeoman's job in terms of registration. They registered millions of people, and from what I'm hearing, they've even linked over 24 million accounts to their system without it being a headline news. NIA, the insurance, the bank, the SNIC, DVLA, and a couple of other platforms have been linked to the NIA system without any, issues. But I don't know why a SIM registration or subscriber registration is giving us this much trouble. I use a phone number to register for my Ghana card, and I have to use a Ghana card to register the same phone number. And you see, you have physical locations for registering all these numbers, which are not even evenly distributed. We are not even located in polling stations like they did with the NIA card from the beginning. So now people are scattered all over, and with limited, kiosk centers like Selom said, of the telcos, they have to find the closest or the nearest network service center to have their cards registered and their bio data captured, physically. It does not make sense. Technology is supposed to make life very comfortable. The reasons they are giving for cyber fraud and the rest. You don't need only SIM number or a subscriber number to identify fraudsters online. There are several ways people can create fake identities online for them to perpetrate whatever crime they want to perpetrate online. Right? So why don't we follow the same process of, how the bank did it, how the NIT did it, how the passport office are doing it, so that we just have Maximus go enter your Ghana card, put the fingerprint on your thing, let's verify you are the one, these are your numbers, and bingo, you are good to go. You are supposed to make it very comfortable, right? And I always use the concept of the cocoa tree. People own the cocoa tree, government doesn't own it, but if people cut down their cocoa tree or government cuts down cocoa trees that are not infected, you are going to also lose in terms of exportation or in terms of revenue for the country. The minister is not thinking about that. How much are we going to lose in terms of talk time tax, in terms of e-levy, in terms of revenue, the bottom line of telcos? We are going to lose a lot of money, and nobody is talking about that. The thing is the challenge or the punitive measures only applies to the owner of the same number and not government is going to benefit as what do you call it, the end receiver of the economic resource called a same number. So for me, the whole process design has not been done properly. The app does not even work properly. Aside helping people to use the app and keeps pushing errors when you want to make payments or errors when you want to even create your PIN or your account. How do you design a process where I enter my name, phone number, and all those details, and then you push me to payment, and before you come and take my biodata, when you can do everything from filling the forms to collecting the biodata, and then you authenticate that registration by the payment. Because your main aim is to get people registered or have their SIM numbers verified. That is the main aim, not the collection of the money. So the whole thing has not been designed well. People are doing double payments. Some are even doing triple payments and the rest. So for me, I don't think we factored the whole idea of convenience into the designing of this whole process.
Okay, so
trust me, what is going to happen is that the biodata or the fingerprint capturing is not going to sync with the NIA database because there are different configurations. And what they are going to do is that they are going to use only the Ghana card number to authenticate your identity, which they could have used from the beginning.
Okay, a very quick one, Maximus. Make this very brief for me. I also have joining us in the studio, Kojoga Adawudu, a lawyer. So the app that we have, you've spoken about some problems. Is the app by and large fit for purpose? You can't have any application that is foolproof, that is 100%. Is the app at least fit for purpose when you look at taking your biometrics and all of that, the stage of the process that it has to cater for? Is it fit for purpose?
For me, from the way it is designed, I don't think so. Right?
Why?
Because you are not using it, you are not verifying the input against any database. Right? And then if I capture my fingerprint or somebody else's fingerprint, how do you know that it's mine or not? And then when you're even capturing your picture, you can't even tell whether, you can't even edit the picture. You can't go back and modify it. You can't redo it. So the whole process is not properly designed.
Thank you for those, succinct comments. Let me now bring in Kojoga Adawudu, a lawyer. He joins me in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining the conversation.
It's a pleasure.
Let me find out from you. We've heard the likes of Selon Brantier, now Maximus Ametogo. So policy analysts, IT people saying that there are so many flaws in the system when it comes to our SIM card re-registration and on the back of using the Ghana card as the sole document that is accepted. But for you, what do you see beyond these flaws that we're encountering from the legal end of things?
I think that, first of all, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers. Let me say that I've come through the LIs, the SIM registration, LI, the 2011, look at the NIA registration. I haven't really come across any law that is backing the NIA where they are trying to impose some sanctions on citizens, innocent citizens. I think that what they are doing is lawlessness. It's unlawful and unacceptable. Because the law clearly defines the rules, what has to be done. The problem I see is that, yes, NIA has registered a lot of people, the Ghana cards, but they have logistical problems. They are not able to deliver the cards for people to be able to synchronize the cards. Let me tell you, when I even went through to have my card, went and synchronized my card, I got to the bank.
That is stage one of the process.
I had even
So you had completed stage one, you went to the telco.
I went to the telco.
Right.
From telco, then I went to the bank. I got to the bank, I went to one branch, they said the card has not been synchronized. So I couldn't make withdrawal.
But you know it takes some time before
Yes, because I had done it. I left that same bank, went to another branch. Then they said, yes, it has been done. So I could have taken my money. These are the challenges people are facing. And I think that, as Maximus has made it clear, looking at it, government is not considering the impact of this policy. It's a good policy. If I say it's not a good policy, I'll be telling Ghanaians lies. It's a good policy where you register everybody and you weed out criminal activities. Now, whilst you are doing that, consider the impact on the people. Sometimes we always think Ghana is only Kumasi, Accra, and Takrady. But when you move to the hinterland and you see the connectivity, they don't even have connectivity. And now you are imposing sanctions on them. Yes, you have the power, or you've been given the leadership role. It clearly just tells you that leadership is losing touch with their people, with their grassroots, what they go through every day. I think it's a good policy that has to be harnessed and looked at it. I think in a layman's term, what they were saying, and the minority in parliament and other people have said that, look at the database of NIA, look at the database that the telcos have, and you can synchronize this. This should be something simple that has been done. I don't know what actually, but if there are technical challenges and technical incompetencies, and you now using that to punish the people, I think it is not right. 2, NIA has registered a lot of people, but NIA has logistical problems. Why are they not able to print the cards? Why are they not able to distribute the cards?
And there are the 15-year-olds going that soon, those who qualify, to get SIM cards, who will soon also be emerging into the system and would require Ghana cards so that they can get their SIM card re-registration or registration for the first time done.
It all boils down to money, financial issues at the base. Why have they done away with the young men who were with NIA, who were helping to register? You go there, all of them have to go home, most of them, because they used to do overtime. They used to pay them for overtime. That's why they were able to register a number of people. They are not able to pay them to do the distribution. So when you have an issue, financial issues, that the government is really under, why do you use that process to inflict it, impose it on the innocent citizen? I think nobody has said it's a bad policy. Everybody says it's a good policy, but the implementation. And I think that NCA and the Ministry of Communication, they are making fetish out of this simple thing, how it has to be done. Yes. In a sense that we have people. You see, when you're in leadership, it is not because you are the leader, you are the only one who has monopoly of knowledge, or the repertoire of knowledge lies with you.
Right.
As you've spoken to the experts now, they tell you the challenges that is fraught with all this. Why don't you bring all these people together? We bring them together. How do we fine-tune the policy? How do we go through so that at least it brings some respite to the citizens?
But Kojogo, so you admit that this is a good thing?
Yes,
you say that it's a good. You even started an initiative yourself for a Ghana card system. I remember registering back then. But we now have, a system that is operational, so to speak. Yes, you're talking about the law and the fact that it does not resonate with what we're seeing now. We can look at the SIM registration regulations 2011, LI 2006. We can also consider the National Identity Register regulations 2012, that is LI 2111. If it is illegal, then how come the NCA and the Communications Ministry are actually rolling this out and creating the sort of chaos that the NDC has been talking about, if it were illegal?
I believe what the NDC is talking about, it's not about the registration.
It has to do with the Ghana card.
Yes, it's not even about the Ghana card. It is about imposing the sanctions on the citizen that you've not registered. So these are sanctions that we are imposing on you. I think that is what the NDC is talking about.
But that's the same conversation we're having.
Yes,
it dovetails
so,
into each other.
Yeah. So it says that register your card. When you don't register your card, ABCD will be the sanctions, right? They will take you off. Now, what is being done is that they restrict your calls. You don't get your calls maybe twice in a week.
Right.
That's not part of the
Even
law.
data connectivity is also
Data
impacted.
connectivity. Is that part of the law? It's not. It says that if you don't register by some timeline, this is what will happen to you. Everybody knows the consequences. Everybody knows the ramification. So if you want to apply the law, apply it to the letter, right? That is the concern that is being raised. So there are two different things. It's not that register it or the NIA, that the law does not back it. The law backs it. But the sanction regime that is being applied now is what we say that, no, it's unacceptable, it's not right. Especially when the problem, the challenge is coming from you as an institution, as a government. Why do you punish the innocent person? If you give him the timeline and you see the long queues people are going, what is causing all this? And that's why I've told you that it is finance, it's financial. And government knows very well that.
So financial in the sense that the National Identification Authority does not have the necessary logistics.
They don't have the necessary logistics. They don't have the.
That has been mentioned before, but the NIA has also said that they are on course. I mean, they've registered so many millions of Ghanaians. So the last time I checked, between 15 to 17 million Ghanaians have their Ghana cards and all of that. I know there is over 1 million of Ghanaians who still do not have their Ghana cards, and you cannot, lose sight of that number. That's a huge component of our population. But when you look at those who have not been registered versus those who have been registered, that doesn't point to the logistical constraints that you speak of.
But have NIA told you that they have a lot of cards that people have not collected?
That is true.
They have a lot of cards that has not been distributed.
But what component of the total is it?
No. It's not negligible. If you say this, these are people who live in the hinterland. These are people who the stress they go through every day to make sure they get their Ghana card. It is not their fault. That is why when Selon Branty and the rest says that they will be going to court, they will want to have a class action. My only comment or commendation I would say is that they should make sure that there are people who have been registered and their cards have not been delivered to them, right? Then that is when their rights will be accrued, that you have promised me, I have done my bit of the obligation.
Fulfilled my part of the...
Fulfilled my part. You have not fulfilled your part. So I'm coming to court for the court to compel you to be able to deliver the card to me. I think that they need to look at it carefully, right? And, I will go for it because everybody is subjected to the constitution of this country. NIA, even government, everybody is subjected to this. So why not? We should always test the law. I am one advocate that I always say, let the judges or the people do their work as judges. We as advocates, you don't fear going to court to lose. When you lose, you also bring some reform. It's not always you go to court and you win. You make sure what you are talking about, sometimes it brings some reform, or they look at it and say, yes, we think this is wrong, but next time it should be done this way. For me, it is a win.
And we've seen a lot of that.
Yes, we've seen a lot of that.
The legal system, the Martin Pebus and the Professor Kukwasari.
Exactly. You go...
Suitcases that have...
Even the law school, when they said they should stop there, now they should find a new LI. They find a way around it.
Yeah.
It's social engineering. Social engineering is part of lawmaking. They look at the situation in the country and they see what the people are going through, look at the government policies and the rest, and they weave some judgment around it, and that brings progress.
Let's look at whipping the people in line. Whenever you're trying to establish, something that is national in orientation like this, you would face some resistance. I mean, whether it's taxation or whatever. But in this instance, one of the arguments that have been brought to the fore is that, look, we've rolled over, we've postponed time and again when it comes to the SIM card re-registration. At some point, have you noticed how once the deadlines are, pushed forward, people stop rushing to the telcos and others to go through the re-registration process? That has been pointed to. And they're saying we must do some of these things to whip people in line, in a way to force the hand of people so that they will do this, so that together we can have a national system where it may not be 100% foolproof, but we can say that this is our national identification system. Do you disagree with those who have this opinion?
Yes, I disagree with them. When you make a law or a policy, you look at the nature and you see, every personality comes out of the cultural background, his cultural background. What has always been our cultural background when it comes to some of the policies? You see, when you take a policy, you are dealing with people. You know how they behave. You know the antecedents, the ideology, and the philosophy that's the cultural underpinning in all this. Yes. Typically, Ghanaians would act during the 11th hour. They always think that, let's relax. Time, we will be able to do it. Now, when you know this, and it is education that makes a difference. You drum this into the mind of the people, to their ears, and they hear, and they know that at this period of time, we are bringing it. When you don't do this registration, there will be a cutoff point. But when you are not doing education, you bring the policy, you say, it's at this time, it will be a cutoff point for everybody. But the education is not going down. You need to educate the people why it's been done. Like you look at the e-levy policy, right? There had been resistance all over. But at the end of the day, when the policy passed, what has happened? It's been affected. There has been a sharp drop. I think I always ask simple question. So if I don't register my SIM, I know I won't talk. I'll be cut off. But you're losing the communication service tax. You're losing part of your e-levy. You see, those policies, those are the demerits.
Right.
So if I decide that, okay, you know what? Even carrying a phone sometimes is a burden because every second I'm getting a call. I'm not going to carry a phone again. I know people in this very high places in this country, they don't use phone. If you want to see them, maybe you go to their house and others. You will say, yes, it will affect your business, but you can live without a phone. So what happens to the clientele for the telcos? There'll be a sharp drop. So you see, it's always a balancing act. You need to cajole the people. It's a carrot and stick approach.
Yeah, but when you cajole, this has been, the process has been renewed, pushed back at least 3 to 4 times. And when you cajole and cajole and cajole, I mean, I understand the plight of people, anyone who says that, look, maybe this is not fair and I'm being pushed to the wall because maybe I don't even have my Ghana card. I agree with both sentiments, but I'm just trying to look at it from the other angle. How about, we've done enough and people are still not registering, so we must maybe bring to bear these punitive measures. Is that wrong?
Yeah, so if you are bringing to bear these punitive measures, just let the people know that at this period, people who haven't registered will go off. However, the caveat is that, have you been able to give them their Ghana card? I think that is the basic question.
That is the basic question.
That's the basic question.
We'll bring in
so if it's been given to the people and they have refused, then it is their responsibility. And they must bear the ramification of their actions.
Talking of ramifications, we'll bring in the NIA shortly, but speaking of ramifications, so the telcos, if you listen to your colleague on the other side representing the NCA, Dr. Poku Edusei, he made mention of the fact that don't blame us, don't blame the ministry, blame the telcos because they are implementing the process. So if there's any blockage of your ability to make calls, or if your data is compromised in any way, so to speak, it is not from us. It is the telcos who may be getting it wrong, maybe targeting the wrong people. But others have said that based on whose directive? Based on the directive of the NCA, the National Communications Authority, and the Communications Ministry. So then the question is, who is liable in this whole bit? Should it be the telcos who are implementing it, or should it be the NCA and the Communications Ministry?
I think it is at the doorstep of the NCA.
At the doorstep of the NCA?
NCA. They are the regulators. The law empowers them to give directives to the telcos. They can even fine the telcos. Why is it that the law gives them that power that they can even fine the telcos when they don't go by their directives or their instructions? They administratively, they can fine you. So if they have given instruction or directive to the telcos do not live in the vacuum. There are regulations. They are regulated by NCA. So it's like you are telling me that when let's say Oman Hini give instructions and it's being implemented by the Ojikro, right? You should say that it is the Ojikro who is doing it, so I should blame the Ojikro leaving the Oman Hini, knowing very well that he has given the instruction, the directive. I think that he should come again. He should come again because people are looking at NCA as the regulator. And they have that power. They are backed by law. Anything they say is the law, right? So if he comes and says the telcos, that is why you have a choice. That you can deal with MTN, deal with Vodafone, or deal with Airtel. It's a choice. But when it comes to the control and access, it is NCA that has been given that power. None of the telcos can do anything or even operate in this country without NCA giving them.
I have an interesting question for you. Has the NCA as regulator then failed in terms of the Communications Ministry and its directives? Because I recall just a few days ago, Honorable Sam George,
yes,
posting this, and I'll not read the rest of what he posted because it gets a bit personal, but he says, information available to me is that the National Communications Authority, Ghana, has realized the folly of the directive from the Ministry of Communications and is seeking to quietly tell the MNOs to stop the call barring. From that angle, would you say that the NCA has failed in terms of maybe in its deliberations with the Communications Ministry, letting them know that this is not the way to go? And if they're going to do this subtly, behind the scenes, when, in fact, an open proclamation was made that will block your chips, we shall, in terms of your ability to call, it will be hampered a bit. Your data access will be hampered a bit. Are there any legal challenges with that approach?
The law allows NCA to come out with directives and instructions. I always say, yes, Sam George is one of the members on the Communications Committee that has oversight responsibility over NCA and the rest. So if he's saying this, I don't doubt it. But the issue is this. You see, it's only a fool who doesn't change his mind. If NCA thinks that, look, what we have done did not go down well with the people or we faulted, why not come back and say that we think that there have been some challenges with our directives. We are asking the telcos to reverse or fine-tune it. I think it doesn't spoil anything. But when you keep quiet, you think silence means golden. It means that you are accepting the fault, what you have done, and sadly, you want it to be corrected. I think that it will be good to come to the populace and let them know that, yes, we gave an instruction or directives. We think that we did not think through it well. We are fine-tuning it. I think that it will be well with the citizens, and they would even be glad to know that, yes, NCA cares for us. NCA knows that the policy or the directive they gave, there were few challenges with it. But to come and subtly and say that don't blame us, it's as if you don't want to take responsibility. You don't want to be seen to be blamed. No. Every human being, we are infallible. You take decisions. Leadership, that's why I'm telling you that leadership, that's why they have advisors.
Right.
Yes, people will advise you and say, no, this policy may not go well. This policy will go well. So I think that NCA should be bold and come out and say that, yes, I think we made a directive to the telcos and we are looking at it and we'll fine-tune it, which will resolve the problem so that we'll keep people at ease.
Hold it right there. I have some more questions for you, but hold it. Let's also engage, because we're also going to bring in the nationalistic feel about how this is affecting ordinary Ghanaians across the length and breadth of the country. Anas Abit is my colleague, our correspondent in the Bono East region. He joins me with thoughts about how people have been reacting to the SIM card re-registration and the blockage of SIM cards, blocking of SIM cards, among others. Anas, a very good morning to you. Tell me, what is the picture in the Bono East region as far as the implementation of the Communications Ministry directive is concerned? Hello, Anas Abit.
Ben, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm trying to find out, Anas, on the back of the latest directives from the Communications Authority, from the Ministry of Communications, and what we've seen, the hue and cry of people trying to re-register their SIMs and the blocking of SIM cards and data connectivity, what has been the reaction of people in the Bono East region?
Well, Ben, the situation, we know in other parts of the country, same here in the Bono East region. We have, currently I'm stationed at the Techiman office of the MTN, and we have lots and lots of people, here trying their possible best to ensure that they also get their SIMs re-registered. I have spoken to a number of them this morning, and their complaint has to do with some of them, we heard on Friday, already registered, but they are still having challenges accessing their SIM cards. A lot of them are here this month. Some of them actually said they spent the night here just trying to ensure that they are reconnected or re-registered on their SIM cards. A lot of them say they are unable to make calls, they are unable to receive calls, and quite a number of them have money on their phones and they are unable to access it. So that is the major challenge that people here are facing. We have a lot of them coming from other parts of the municipality, the rural communities, all here this morning, their numbers to ensure that they get their SIM cards registered. So the challenge has been same. People have registered, but they are unable to access their SIM cards. They are unable to make calls and they are unable to receive calls as well. So over here, the people we have here, a lot of them have the same issue. Others are also struggling to ensure that they register for the first time. So that is the challenge we are having here, and the people are not happy with the kind of queue that we have here already, and they wish the MTN network would have more of its registration outlets to take care of this particular situation.
Anas, tell me, for every, let's say, 10 people you engage, how many of them are coming through with the sort of problems that you described?
Yeah, if you gauge from where I'm standing right now, you could see that about half of those who are currently here having the challenge, some are saying they have already registered, but they have their SIMs, blocked partially. Some of them are able to receive calls, they are unable to make calls. Others are not able to make calls, but they are able to receive calls, and others are saying they have no service at all on their SIM card. So that is the challenge these people here are trying to struggle with. They say, I've spoken with one or two people who are also saying, even though they've registered with their NIA cards, the MTN people are telling them there's no data on their SIM card. So it's quite confusing, as in the number of people who are here to register. So I'm told there's a line, there's a queue in there, and only those who are in the queue in this particular premises will be attended to. The rest of the people who are outside here are told to wait out here until the queue in there is dealt with before they'll be looked at. So I'm trying to get some of them to speak with.
Right, and Anas Abit, my colleague there, he's trying to get some of them there at that particular...
On how the situation
is. Anas, just tell me, before maybe you get one of them to interact with, we also know that there is the app that they can use. Have you interacted with them? Have you asked them whether they are aware of the app, that they can use it to actually, surmount some of the challenges? Because you mentioned that some of them are there and there's not enough personnel to attend to them. Are they aware of the app? Okay, so for Anas Sabit, the connection is frozen now. We'll try to get back to him when he reconnects with us. So those are some of the situations that people are facing. At this particular registration point, there's not enough personnel, first of all, and there are other complications. I'm just trying to find out whether the people are aware of the app, for example, so that maybe they can avoid some of the long queues, use the app, and then take it from there. But let me come back to you. Maybe give me your initial reaction to this before I come back to you with a question.
You see, when you travel to the hinterland, even this is Techima, where it is seemed that there should be network, we shouldn't have network problem in Techima. But a lot of people are not IT savvy, So people don't even know the app, how to go about the app. If there is an app, what kind of education has gone into it? That this is step 1, step 2, step 3. So if you use these steps, you'll be able to even register on your phone, using your phone. But you don't see any education. It just comes and says, oh, there's an app. Go onto the phone and get into the app and you download. People don't know what are the steps. So if you move up north, you move into the villages, there's no network. People don't get network. So how would it? If it is in Accra, Kumasi, even look at the literacy rate among us, right? Only few people who are technically or IT savvy that they'll be able to use the app. So you've catered for that segment of the society. How about the other segment of society? How have we catered for these people? We presume because people use phone, people have phone, they are IT savvy. They should be able to do WhatsApp. I'm telling you, there are people, even they don't know how to operate the WhatsApp.
Right.
They don't even know how to operate it. So what was the provisions that was made for our brothers who are not literate, who are not IT savvy? I think that for me, all this is education. We can have this, that when it comes to election, they tell you the processes, you take the ballot, you do this. That alone also is an education. So if we do same with this same registration, A, B, C, D, people will now get to know this is the way we have to go with it. I'm sure they will now start to contact other people to help them that this is the process. I think that, yes, we need to sit down and fine-tune this. My layman, as Maximum and Solomon Branty have said, yes, they have said, is that let's look at the databases for the two. The database that we have with the telcos, the database that we have with NIA, and synchronize this.
Okay.
I don't know how difficult it is. I'm not a technical person to say operationally, but I'm sure even if there is some challenges with the app, we have IT persons, consultants who will be able, it is only for the NCA and the ministry to beckon these people and ask them that, listen, can you help us?
All right.
This is national service. I don't think that they will not be ready to help.
I'll come to you with your wrap-up thoughts on two critical issues. Maybe I'll just run them by you. The likelihood of this class action, gaining any traction, getting the sort of results that are required. And then the Ghana card in terms of our electoral process. You are looking at that story on the front page of the Daily Graphic, which says, make Ghana card acquisition process faster. That's according to the Electoral Commission and why they feel it should be the source document for election 2024. But let me bring in Abdul Ganiyu, Director, Corporate Affairs of the NIA. Mr. Ganiyu, a very good morning to you, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Right. I'm sure you've heard of all the challenges when it comes to the SIM card re-registration, and a lot of people are complaining about the fact that we simply cannot go on with the process because we don't even have Ghana cards. Let's start with the latest statistics when it comes to those who have attempted registering for the Ghana card, those who have the Ghana card, those who have not picked up their Ghana cards, and the numbers outstanding. Can you give us a breakdown?
Okay, so first of all, to say that a lot of people do not have their Ghana cards, I would just want to say that would not be very correct.
If correct me if I am wrong, if per the latest data I have, if over 1 million people don't have their Ghana cards, whether they have not registered, not been able to go through the registration process, or they don't have their cards or something.
Okay, all right.
What does that mean?
Let me just put out the latest statistics so that it will deal with whatever the concerns are in terms of people who have registered so far. Now, for people who have registered so far, right from the start, what we call pilot registration up to this point, we have registered 17,151,488 Ghanaians. 17,151,488. We have printed 16,623,000.
Okay, so printed 16 million.
623,000.
623,000.
All right?
Right.
And then we have not printed, cards yet to be printed are 528,360. 528,360. And cards that have been issued, out of the printed cards we have currently put in the hands of Ghanaians, 15,859,251. 15,851,251. Cards that are yet to be issued, meaning these cards have been printed but not issued. The individuals have not gone for those cards. We have 763,877. 763,877. And this is as at the 9th of September 2022. That's last week, Friday. These statistics keep changing, and we update that on the website every week, the week ending Friday.
Right.
So these are the statistics we have so far, Benjamin.
All right, so let me just walk our viewers through this. So basically, I may get some of the other small numbers wrong, but 17,151,488, that is those who have gone through the registration process. Then
Exactly.
Printed 16,623,128. That is what has been printed out. For those yet to, so 528,360, that is those yet to be what? Registered?
To be printed.
Those yet to be printed. Okay, so those yet to be printed, 528,360. Those that have been issued, cards in the hands of Ghanaians, 15,859,251. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Those yet to be issued, 763,877.
Correct.
Okay, so of the 17 million people who have registered, what it means then that while we've printed 16 million, we still have an excess of 763,877 that is yet to be issued. And then we also have those yet to be printed, 528,360, which adds up, even with this, it adds up to the over 1 million that I was talking about.
Yes, but again, we need to contextualize all of these. If you look at the 763,877, those cards have been printed, and they are in the respective regional and district offices across the country. Wherever people registered, GS is to locate the NIA's office within that district, which we have put out the locations of all our offices across Ghana. And when they go, these cards are issued to them. But unfortunately, these people, all that it shows is that they haven't gone to pick their cards. That is what it is.
It's not that simple. It's not that simple, Dr. Ganiyu. And I'll cite the example of my own mother. Look, sometimes we don't have to, but my mother had to end up speaking to your CEO himself before she got her card. And it had taken her, over a year, 2 years, just to get a card she had registered for. I know people who have registered in certain communities. You know, you're speaking about the district setting and going to the district office. There are people within the catchment areas, little villages, towns, who have registered. But sometimes it is captured that they registered at maybe a main source, let's say a district level, which they didn't. And now tracing their cards, they go to the district, they can't find it, they go to where they registered, there's no apparatus there. These are problems that people are facing even today.
Yes,
some people have registered and they simply can't trace their cards.
Okay, so let me make the point now. I have no issue with persons who have registered, but their cards have not yet been printed. And it's also part of the figures that I've just put out, the 528,000.
Right.
Those cards are yet to be printed. So it is genuine for those people to make the calls that we hear, the complaints and whatnot about having been registered, but he or she has been told that the card hasn't been printed. That's a different thing altogether. But what we are talking about are people who have registered, their cards have been printed. But unfortunately, they have not been able to go to the respective district office for those cards to be issued. And it is very simple. Most of these unissued cards came about after the mass registration. And in the mass registration, people were moving about across the country. And wherever they found an NIA registration center, they went there to register. Some got their cards instantly, but because of poor internet network, for instance, some of those cards were not printed whilst we're in the field. But having come back to the head office after the mass registration, we have been able to print these backlog cards. And whatever address that was given or the location of the registration, that is where those cards will be sent. So after we establish the permanent regional and district offices, we have moved these cards to those districts. But what happens is that people call us to tell us that where I registered, I do not live there anymore. I have probably moved from Accra now to Tamale. You cannot ask me to come to Accra for my card. These are the complaints we keep hearing from people.
But is it not a realistic, call if you roll out en masse that register anywhere you like, and after a while, months, the person is not able to access his or her card and then moves from Tamale to Accra, and you expect the person to go back to Tamale? Why can't the person pick up in Accra?
Yes. So again, that's another issue we have to look at in terms of the logistics, in terms of the arrangements that have to be put in place. Then we can target individuals wherever they are for these cards to be issued to them. Who is going to bear that cost? That is a question we need to ask. So if somebody registered in a particular town, say A, and has moved to town B, the person's card has been printed, the data tells us where the registration took place. We can only take the card to where the person registered. So this is the major challenge that continues to confront NIA. Or else, these cards continue to be in our inventory. It comes at a huge cost to us. It is certainly not in the interest of NIA to keep keeping these particular cards, because you have to keep them well so that they don't damage, they don't lose their functionality, they don't get lost, so on and so forth. So it's a huge nightmare for us when we have all of these backlog cards, and yet people have failed to go to their respective district offices for the cards to be issued to them.
Okay, so part of the problem is people who are simply not picking up their cards and creating a backlog for you. But two quick questions. The other angle, in fact, the real question I was posing to you, and this happened to my own mother. There are people who have gone through the registration process, and when they go to any office, they are told that, look, whether it is where they registered or a district setting or even LWAC, like we saw a lot of people going there, they tell them it has been printed and duly given out, or it's been printed and it is ready. But where exactly they are going to pick it up becomes the problem. So they move from district, they move to where they registered, they move to this end, that end, they go to the NIA headquarters, and they are being told, yes, it has been printed. We see in the system that it's been printed, but where to pick it up? It can't be found in the system. That is one. The second one has to do with the cards that have been issued but have problems. Okay, some of them, like Kojoga Adawudu was saying, at some point you try to transact with them and they tell you we can't even find the data in our system, or you want to re-register your SIM and they are told that your details on your Ghana card are, I don't know, it can't be found. How can you address these two problems for us? What is happening?
All right. So yes, there's been a certain technical issue that was largely man-made, especially during the mass registration. So some of our officers, for instance, would have entered what we call a wrong center code. So once a different center code is entered, other than where the registration took place, you may have a situation where the card is printed all right, but that card is found in a different district altogether. Then that becomes a challenge. Now, we took our time, go into the system, and we were able to move these cards about. It took quite a long time for us to achieve that. But as we speak, we have been able to solve that problem, where we now can tell wherever registration took place and where the cards are supposed to be, so that if people go to that particular office, the card will be found and the card will be issued. So this number that I've given you, they were in their millions, but that number has continued coming down up to the point that it is now. So that's the point. Now, the other issue in terms of, let's say, card replacement, the crowds that you were seeing mostly at Elwak Sports Stadium were people who had lost their cards, and they were now coming to the NIA for those cards to be replaced. What we have done in the last couple of weeks is that we have decentralized that service, that if you go to all our regional offices, updates of personal record and information is taking place, and then people who have also lost their cards are able to now apply, get a replaced card at the regional office and also at the district offices. And I'm sure that some weeks back, if your cameras went to the Elwak Sports Stadium, they would have seen quite a lot of people milling around just to seek these services. But it is happening no more because that service has been decentralized. Now, there are also people who are in possession of their cards. They go to the teleco. The telecos tell them there's no data on your card, so on and so forth. But per the NIA system, that card is correct. And when people bring those cards to NIA and we check it in our system, we have always found that there is data on the card is valid. And when we tell those people, go back to the teleco and tell them that NIA has checked and they say, my card is valid, my card is data. And when those people go and the telecos take another look at it and they do it again, it works for them. So we have constantly told the telecos what they need to do, the kind of systems or infrastructure they must have in place that can read whatever data that is on that embedded chip of your Ghana card. So these conversations continue to take place. And I know that people who are listening to us will testify to this, that when they have come to NIA and we check, there's often data and the card is valid. Where there's a genuine problem, the problem is so genuine that indeed that card, there's no data on it. NIA has had to do a reissuance of that card to those people. But those are very few numbers. I mean, absolutely exceptional. But for most cases, we have found data on the card is valid, and then it does work. So that is what it says.
To address these ones as quickly as possible, and then I'll bring in my colleague as well as we take a look at some of the questions that have been put on social media. First of all, mention has been made of the fact that you are logistically constrained. You don't have the resources to accelerate the process. One, is that correct? That is the first point. And two, so the Electoral Commission has made mention of the fact that they will soon be the Ghana card will soon be the only form of identification required for voter registration, and that they want you to accelerate the process. can you meet their demands, especially as so many people don't have their Ghana cards? And finally, what are the timelines if you are going to meet their demands? So 3 quick questions. Logistical constraints. Is it correct? Are you cash-strapped?
In terms of logistics, obviously, I have to admit, and I believe is the case for a lot of other state institutions, we cannot say that everything is in place. So as far as our technical and operational design to keep us at that optimum level is concerned, we certainly cannot say so. And especially at a time that there's a huge demand for the Ghana card, when we have had the NCA come up with a couple of deadlines, and almost everyone in Ghana uses the same card. So they will need a Ghana card to go through that particular process. So that is what it says. And then the synchronization and integration that we have to do with all other state institutions, and for people who seek services from these state institutions, it will mean that they must get the Ghana card. So that gives us some kind of pressure in terms of logistics. But had it not been that, NIA has done everything according to our operational plan. First was to conduct mass registration. We did that successfully. Beyond that was to set up permanent regional and district offices to facilitate what we call continuous registration. We have done that as well. But as you find these state institutions come and introduce their own deadlines, then it brings pressure. And sometimes what the NIA board has done is to give approval for us to engage contract staff, open additional registration centers. We did that with the Stadia registration a couple of months ago. But unfortunately, my brother, anytime an extension has been given, you go back to these specialized registration centers that we open, and our officers sit there and they simply do nothing. They have absolutely no work to do. But these are contract staff you engage that you must pay them for the period there. So the board will then take a decision, you know what, that it will not be a prudent spend of the taxpayers' money. So get those particular centers closed. Then we will do that. Then you have a couple of days to the end of the deadline. You have all sort of crowds at the offices again, and then the same Ghanaians come back to blame the NIA. So the media picks it. Every now and then you are discussing NIA and challenges. So it's been a certain vicious cycle, and that is quite unfortunate, really. If all of us were to respond to the measures, the systems that the NIA has put in place over time, we will not be experiencing these kind of problems. That has been the case. Now, let me deal with the EC matter. Of course, the EC has put out that henceforth, going forward, what they are going to be doing is continuous registration. That is good. It spares all Ghanaians the hassle of us waiting to an election year, go queue for long hours just because we want to register and participate in elections. I think this is something that all of us must allow. Now, if the Ghana card becomes the requirement, NIA has also assured you that having established permanent regional and district offices, registration will be continuous. So that if somebody turns 15 today, the person can go to our district office and register. In the case of elections, if somebody is 18 and has not registered for the Ghana card, you can simply go to the NIA office, get registered, get your card, and then go to the
Dr. Ganiyo, so just tell me, so is the EC out of order when it says you should, do this as speedily as possible? Because I've heard Professor Atefua say in the past that we don't have any timelines, but they are saying do this as quickly as possible to help us in our work. Are they out of order?
Well, I think there are two different issues here. Yes, Prof is right when he says that our registration does not have timeline. It is a continuous process. Now, the EC at a point will stop voters' registration in their preparation for the 2024 elections. So when we look at the numbers, for Ghanaians who are 15 years and above, it's around 19.9 million. NIA has registered over 17 million. So between now and when that continuous registration will stop, before election 2024, the EC is simply saying, NIA, make sure that at least all those people within this age bracket, you are able to register them on time. And I think it's the right call. And indeed, with the system that we have in place, we should be able to do that. It all depends on Ghanaians being interested in participating in the elections, going to the respective NIA office to register, and then go to the EC and get their name on the voters' register as well. It's that simple. The fact is that when we have put these systems in place, you cannot force anyone to go and register. The office is open. It's there. You can go there and register anytime. So we should be sensitizing Ghanaians. Now, look, when they want to participate in the election, make sure you do these two things on time, because the opportunity is there for you to do that.
All right. Dr. Ganiyu, I beg of you to stay with me. Just stay with me. The reason being that as we go on social media and take some of the concerns, questions, thoughts that are posed there, you may have to react to some of them. We may not have all the answers. So I beg of you to just stay with us. My colleague Mapito Sibide is standing by. She's going to be taking some of those social media comments. Welcome back, Mapito.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Now let's go to our Facebook page where we asked you, was your SIM card blocked last week? We have that on our Facebook page, and it is Joy News on TV. So get interactive with us. All right, let's go to Kendall, who says, all my 2 SIM cards were blocked. This our minister and the president. If they should get a chance today, they will regulate how, when, and to what extent we should breathe in this country. Jacob Lodge says, this matter, I say I no go talk some. Adam says, my SIM card was blocked last week, but I enjoyed the action because I am not a calls addict. Once my Facebook wasn't, I could use my friend's phone for calls, and power frustration was simply drifting them from seeing what was right. Daniel says, I will burn the whole country. That's if his SIM card was blocked. Christopher,
hey, you burn the country, say.
Can you imagine? He says, I nearly took my phone for repairs because that radio sound was unbearable. I thought my phone had generated a fault. Let's go to Emmanuel, who says, no, I'm not a member of the Stubborn Academy, so I registered my SIM card. As we know, the Stubborn Academy are the people who said they wouldn't register their SIM cards. But for me, I'm not part of the Stubborn Academy, but my SIM card was also blocked. So it's not everybody who's part of the Stubborn Academy that's their SIM card.
Oh, yours was blocked too?
Yeah, it was. So all my fans, all my people couldn't call me.
Your many fans couldn't reach out to you?
International calls. I couldn't receive my international calls. So you can imagine how much money I lost in that 2 days, Benjamin.
Oh, wow.
I know. Let's go to Abigail, who says, mine was blocked and I have already registered. Let's go to Hamza, who says, sharing the experience isn't the problem. What will you do with it? So what we'll do is talk to the right people to give us the right answers. Hamza. Abdul says, and up to now, I can't make calls with my SIM card. And then the last comment I'll take is from Gabriel, who says, none of my 3 SIMs, one unregistered, were blocked. They can't surf. Well, they can, and they will if you continue being part of the Stubborn Academy. Well, Benjamin, those are some comments from our people on Facebook. JoyNews on TV. You can also tweet at us. We are JoyNews on TV, and use the hashtag AMShow.
We'll be activating the phone lines at the tail end of the show for you to share your thoughts. But before you go, Dr. Ganiyu, so there's this comment as well from Damien Ferdinand, via our live stream, who says, you people seem not to touch on the fundamental issues. For instance, in my case, I registered for the Ghana card way back in 2019, and I went to my service provider to re-register the SIM, and they could not validate me. They then asked me to go back to the NIA. When they slotted the card into their machine, I was told there was no data on the card. Therefore, I should start the process again. How is this my fault? Hence, blocking me. So the NIA component comes back in there. Is it possible for this to happen, Dr. Ganiyu?
Yes, that's quite possible. And I have to admit, as I indicated, that those cases are quite few. And at the end of the day, when they have been brought to our attention, we've taken measures to address that. It was by virtue of how some of those cards were issued. At some point, they were issued offline or through what we call a manual issuance, instead of the normal electronic issuance that you normally place your fingerprints back on a machine before that card is issued to you. So there were quite a few cards that were issued through that manual process. And so we have accepted it. When that comes, we address it quickly. But for a majority of the cases that come to us, having been referred to us from the telecos, when they come, we check and it is valid, there's data. They go back to the telecos sometimes and it works at their end.
All right. The final bit is not from me. Kojoga Adawudu is a lawyer. He's in the studio, and he says he has a little question for you. Kojoga, please go ahead.
Yeah, Doc. Thanks. I'm impressed with the statistics that you have just given. The people you have registered and those that you've issued a card. What is the disconnect? Because on the ground, it doesn't seem the statistics you've given, it is practical, it's working on the ground, and on the ground there is a different scenario we are seeing. What do you think accounts for this disconnect?
Yes, lawyer, I don't think there's a disconnect. The fact is that when people have concerns, even if they are in their tens and hundreds, or even say in their thousands, they are surely going to talk about it. I don't want to say noise, but whichever form they express it, we would see it. And I believe that's exactly what we are witnessing. But you should take this off over 17 million people who have gone through the process and over 15 million people currently having their cards. Just imagine if this wasn't the case. There certainly would have been chaos, far, far more than what we are currently witnessing. So we as a state institution are extremely concerned, even if it's just one person, two persons who are going through some stress because they want to get a Ghana card and then go back to go through these other processes. It's certainly a concern to us, but there's absolutely no disconnect at all. I mean, it's a matter that we all would observe naturally. Aggrieved about something, they'll talk about it in a manner that you would feel that there's so much chaos in the system, but that exactly is not the case.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ganiyu, for engaging us this morning, and we wish you the very best in your work.
All right. Thank you very much for having me this morning.
Dr. Abdul Ganiyu is Director of Corporate Affairs with the NIA. I'll wrap up with Kojoga Adawudu in the studio. Your very final thoughts. So I was asking you about the likelihood of this class action yielding the sort of results that we want, and the EC saying that the Ghana card is what we're going to use moving forward, which is why it's saying the NIA must hasten the process of ensuring that every Ghanaian who qualifies has the card. Two quick questions. We'll wrap with that.
Yes, I think that the EC, let me start from the EC. The EC says that it's only the Ghana card. Now, they are not in control and in charge of the Ghana card.
Right.
So I think that the database that the NIA has and that of the EC, they should make sure that they are able to put it together and make sure that, you see, the problem...
So synchronization.
The synchronization. Secondly, if you are saying that moving forward, it is Ghana card that will be used for I think it is a good thing. It will not enfranchise anybody. But if you are saying that the existing voters, if you don't have a Ghana card, then you cannot vote. That is where I think the issue is. But continuing to register, Ghana card becomes what it's used to identify you as a Ghanaian. I think that is okay. But the problem that I think EC is not communicating well, if that is it, is that it is for continuous registration, but not for people who have registered already, that will be the requirement. So if I have an EC voter's ID card, and now you say that I cannot use my voter's card, which you have used, I've been registered already, until I get a Ghana card, I think that is where the challenge is coming from, and they should educate people well. I think there are series where let the citizens know. They should encourage it and explain. I'm sure this had been one of the issues where the IPAC used to work very well, and they discuss issues. So they should look at how they can strengthen the IPAC, because the IPAC would tell their people what happened, and the EC would also explain. I'm sure that would demystify all the issues around the Ghana card and elections in Ghana. If they don't speak and educate the people, we will have that challenge. And the mistrust and the suspicion between the political parties and EC will be something that would continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Kojogo Adawudu is a lawyer. He joined the conversation. Earlier, we had Maximus Ametogo, an IT consultant. We also had Selom Brantier. He's a policy analyst with Imani Africa, also the leader of that class action against the communications ministry. And a short while ago, you heard Dr. Abdul Ganiyu, who is PRO for the National Identification Authority. Well, coming up next, as we take a bit of a breather, we'll return with A Dam of Promises, our latest hotline documentary put together by my colleague Albert Sori, and it has to do with promises that have been made, the Pualugu Dam, and yet promises that have not been delivered on. At 8:30 p.m. today on this network, it will air. We'll be bringing you some snippets and details of that. But before the break, retail prices of fertilizers have increased by more than 200%. Now, there is a real threat to the availability of basic food crops in the coming months as farmers are unable to buy the needed fertilizers. Farmerline is supporting farmers by making affordable fertilizers available to them through a discount program. All they're asking is an invitation to you to also support them by donating 10 Ghana cedis or more to raise 1 million cedis to reach over 25,000 farmers within this season. All you have to do, out of the goodness of your heart, simply dial star 887 star 4444 hash, star 887 star 444 hash to donate. Your donations go directly to the farmers and directly towards food security in Ghana. And that is what we all want. So how about you donate? We take a breather. When we return, more on that latest documentary.
A Dam of Promises. That's a JoyNews Tracker documentary produced by Albert Sori, who's joining me live now. Albert, good morning. Albert Sori, producer of A Dam of Promises. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now. So you said in your documentary there are no physical signs of the construction of the Pualugu Dam. How has this affected the people of the Upper East region? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is a dam that one we were told will help curb the perennial flooding that we normally see in the Upper East region, normally because of heavy rainfalls and also the spillage of the Bagre Dam around this time every year. And so, obviously, if it is not constructed as soon as possible, it means that the flooding, will continue to affect the farmers in this part of the country. Also, because of the irrigation, components of it and how important this will be to farmers, it also means that they will have to continue to manage just the way they have been managing with just one season every year to do their farming. So there are other details which the documentary will reveal as far as what the people in these communities think about the dam are concerned. But basically, these are some of the issues. One, because of the flooding, which will continue to affect us until the dam is completed, and also the irrigation farming, which is very important to many of the farmers in parts of the Northeast, Northern, and Upper East region as well.
Well, Albert, we've been playing some excerpts of this documentary. Have we gotten any responses so far?
Yeah, so we've had responses. One, the VRA, which is one of the stakeholders involved in the construction of this project, have been in touch. They've been in touch, and they want to comment. But for now, they want to watch the documentary first, and then they can also come to with the views they have as far as this project is concerned. we had approached the Upper East Regional Minister, who is obviously government's representative in this region, for a comment. But at the time, he said that the president had recently visited the region and had commented on the dam. So he didn't want to say anything that will end up maybe contradicting the president, because for him, the president's word was final. But we also have civil society organizations as well. And even the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has been in touch this morning. And they are also, anticipating, the full documentary, and also to get the opportunity to speak about it, because for them, this is one of the dams that, as an association, they feel is very important to their members in this part of the country.
Okay, aside from what we've seen so far, what else can we expect tonight, Albert?
Yeah, so there are some other communities apart from Kwalugu and Kurugu, which we just saw in the excerpt that we played. So we visited a community called Gubio, which is also in the Northeast region. We visited Sarba, where the irrigation component of the dam is supposed to be. They've actually done, put up some buildings there, that was supposed to be part of preparations towards the irrigation component of the dam. But that has also stalled now. Then we will have more of explanations from the consultants. We just heard Professor David Miller. He will be giving us more, of the findings that they got during their work on this project, and also to help us understand why it will be difficult for the government to complete the project on schedule. Remember, they did a 50-month timeline. 30 months of that has, have already passed. We have 20 months more to go. And looking at what has been done so far, it appears it will be difficult for them to finish it in the 20 months. So he will help us with the perspective and on all of this. And also we'll hear more from the community members and the chiefs, where the components of this dam will be, on what they think about what the contractors have done in their communities so far.
All right, before I let you go, what time, when can we watch the documentary? Please share those details with our viewers.
Yeah, so the radio one was just aired at 8:30 this morning. The TV version is at 8:30 p.m. this evening. So 8:30 p.m. today on the JoyNews channel. So that's the time for the TV version of The Dam of Promises, 8:30 today.
All right, thank you very much, Albert. Sorry for that. So make sure you make a date at 8:30 p.m. on DSTV channel 41, Go TV channel 144, and we'll also be streaming it live on our Facebook channel and also on YouTube or JoyNews Live. It is A Dam of Promises, produced by Albert. Sorry, you're still watching the AM show. Do interact with us on our Facebook page. We have a question we would like you to answer there. And we're asking, which sector of Ghana will you invest in if you had 100 million Ghana cedis? Which sector would you invest in if you had 100 million Ghana cedis? Join us. We already have 1,000 comments and 17 shares. So let's see what people are saying. Kodjo is saying he would invest in agriculture. Okay, Yakubu says a sector that would help in fighting corruption, a working OSP. All right. Abi says, with this money, someone should just help me with the necessary document to leave this country called Ghana in peace. Okay. Ezekiel says he would start a basic school in every city in Ghana. Trust him, he would do that. Kwabena Gabriel thinks, or he says he will invest in the Gobe sector, and 41 people are reacting to that. Isaac Yao says, sports betting. Go stake small odds and to invest in Ghana under this economy, dear. Now, okay, Abigail says invest in Ghana. Well, she's asking, invest in Ghana. Edward Atta says I will invest It's on how to push common sense to the country. Okay, Ajay Augusta says, I'll invest in health sector, especially the psychiatric field, because most of our politicians are totally ... Another one who would invest in agriculture is King Malak. He says, or he thinks is the best place. Al-Haji says, SIM card re-registration. Madi J says, in this Ghana, in this cover-up economy, I'll just build a small prison for those politicians. Moses Slim, okay, no, Eli, let's go to Eli first, who says poultry and a Greek. Moses Slim says, investing in NPP is the best. Your returns will exceed your expectations. We've got 3 people who have responded to that comment with some laughing emojis. Prosper says he will use that money to invest in the education of our younger ones on values such as honesty and integrity, so that we can produce leaders with such qualities in the next decades to change things in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. So that's the first person out of like the 1,000 comments. That's the first person who would invest in education. Another one who would invest in a Greek and livestock is Abdul Razak J. Bay. Says he would invest in Sporty Bets Ghana for sure. Okay, that's another person who will do that. Isaac Kwame says, then be prepared to vote NPP and NDC out of power. Able Ghana youth with such great vision arise for your beloved country. Nazir says, corruption seems to be our fundamental problem. Joseph says Ghana prison service through agriculture. Andrew says he'd invest in government bonds. There's no sector that will give me 30% as will the bonds. Alim says vocational and agricultural development. These 2 sectors can employ 80% of Ghana's population. Einstein says he'll invest in politics. Okay, Joseph Aban says in NCCE to promote national cohesion, peace, eradication of corruption, promotion of rights and duties. Hamza Jr. says, I will prefer to keep my money under my bed since there is no hope in all the sectors of the Ghanaian economy. Jerry Douglas says he would invest in common sense. Ben Owusu says every sector has been destroyed with corruption, so he'd rather invest in an NGO under strict conditions. Good morning. Good morning to you, Ben Owusu. Let's go to Adams, who says agriculture. It hurts, we're always in the news. Hungry Africans waiting for war-torn Ukraine to send them grains. Richard, corruption sector, it's very lucrative. Obviously, he's joking there. And another one is investing in agriculture. And he says in herb, to be precise. Okay. Salifu Hamza, I won't invest in next sector for Nana and his family to kill my investment. Felix says sanitation in major cities. That's the first comment that mentions sanitation. So, okay, Yao Sechi says a Greek sector, tilapia and catfish. So, what sector would you invest in? I've seen a lot of a Greek. I've seen one, education. And I'm seeing the first one, hospitality, and that is from Ohineba Ankoma, who says hospitality, especially in my hometown area. I wonder where his hometown is. Let's go to Hussein, who says, I'll invest in agriculture, particularly rice farming and tourism. That is the first person I see who wrote tourism. I've been waiting for that comment. In Northeast region, we have a vast arable land. I believe if we deliberately tailor policy in these areas, we can wean Ghana off from unnecessary borrowing. So tourism, first one. John Kwashi says agriculture and tourism. There goes another one. The economy is in shambles. Investing now is a recipe for disaster. Honestly, is a no-no for me. Besides, our leaders should change their attitude towards contributing for their quota for Mother Ghana. That's from Benjamin Nyan. AKA Samuel says a Greek is the best way to go. So those are some of your comments coming in from our Facebook page, JoyNews on TV. Do join the conversation. We would like to hear from you. This is still the AM show. I am Mapito Sibidi. We're going to take a quick breather. We'll be back with more. You're welcome back to the AM show. This is Mapito Sibidi and Benjamin Akakpo. I
felt like giving two.
Well, Benjamin, let's go to the Volta region.
Yes.
We understand that the president will be there today.
Today and tomorrow.
Yeah, for some inspecting some works going on there. What particularly would you like the president to go and inspect and look out for? Well,
we know he'll be looking at the Agenda 111 facilities in that region. That's specifically in the South Dine constituency. We also know that, per what information we've gathered, of course, he's going to grace the annual conference of the Ghana Bar Association there as well, among other interests. So we'll get the details of that conversation with our correspondent. Would you like to bring in Ivy Seto?
Ivy Setoji, good morning, Ivy. Ivy, good morning.
Okay, so we'll try to work the lines to see.
Good morning.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, good morning, Ivy.
Good morning.
All right, has the president arrived in the Volta region?
Yes, please. He arrived and he's currently granting an interview to the Stone City Radio in Clefe. He's expected to also grace the annual general meeting for the Ghana Bar Association, and then from there he will visit some project site, also visit Pando and pay homage to the paramount chief of Pando traditional area. We are also told that he's going to inspect the ongoing Eastern Corridor Road around Peje, and also commission some projects, and then continue in some districts with commissioning of some completed projects in the Volta region.
Benjamin?
So that's interesting, especially when you talk about the Eastern Corridor Road in Peje, where he'll be making an inspection. This is, I think, the third year of roads that we've had. How are the people reacting as the president comes through on the back of the road infrastructure? When you look at the whole Sokode area, among others, people have been very plaintive about the bad state of roads.
Yeah, so people are expecting president to say something about the nature of the roads in the Volta region as he's going to inspect those roads. People say that they are not happy that some of the roads, or most of them, have not been dealt with because he promised them that when he comes back, the roads will be completed. Some people who have their roads to be done, especially the people roads and some roads in the Kete South, they are happy about the current state of their roads, but we still want the president to do something about the Konadumon Road and the Diamond Cemetery Road. So yes, the Aflao road is also in a very bad state, and residents want government to do something about it. So these are some of the things the residents would like the president to address as he told the Volta region today and tomorrow.
Let's also talk about that South Dine health facility that he'll be looking at. It ties into the Agenda 111, development. What can you say about that facility, its current state?
For now, we do not know the current state for now, but what we are told is the project is in progress. It progresses steadily according to them. So today, we are going to that area. The president will go there to inspect that project as well. So for now, we are not told about the state of the project.
Finally, Ivy, what can you tell us about the president's itinerary? Is there anything else he'll be doing apart from going to the Ho Technical University for the Ghana Bar Association's conference, the Agenda 111 situation, and the roads that you've spoken of? Is there anything else we should know before you go?
Yes, so the president from the Ghana Bar Association program, he will go to South Dine for the Agenda 111 project. He will also inspect the Eastern Corridor Road. He also goes to pay homage to the Pando, the paramount chief of Pando, Tebika Dagadu, and also inspect other projects we are told. Tomorrow, he will continue to Kete South, where we are told he is likely to commission the E-block which is currently in use at Aflawu Agbekwi, and also go to Northton and then also commission the court, the district court there, among other projects. So these are some of the few itineraries we are privy to for the president. So,
Ivy Setoji is our Volta regional correspondent. Thank you so much, Ivy, for joining the conversation. So on the back of the conversations we've had today, we're going to activate the phone lines, your SIM card re-registration, the Ghana card, and the entire conundrum of issues to do with that. You were saying that you had some problems.
Yeah. So was it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday I was trying to make a call and I couldn't. And I was like, okay, that's funny, whatever. This was when I was at home. And then I came to the office and I'm like, what's happening? My SIM cards or my calls are not going through. I can't make calls, but I can receive calls. And then you're like, oh, but madam, you've been blocked. So this is like the people in the newsroom. And I was like, but I registered.
But you've gone through the entire process.
The entire process, like 6 months ago, before I left the country, I had registered my SIM card. And I was just very shocked, but I was just like, yeah, those who need me will call me. If it's really important, you call me. But I could make WhatsApp calls, could make Facebook calls, so it wasn't as frustrating as maybe for a business owner. You know, I know Papani, Michael Ashali was talking to some business owners. She sells food, and she was saying that people will call me, make an order. I'll prepare the food. How do I call them to let them know that their order is ready? Or the dispatch guy is coming. So you can imagine that, like I was saying, the amount of money people would have lost in that 2 days. Yeah.
So a pretty frustrating situation. We're activating the phone lines now. You can call that number 0302-211-691 extension 2. 0302-211-691 extension 2. It's on your screen. Call that number and let's know what you think about that and other issues we've been discussing this morning. You heard the PRO of the NIA, Dr. Abudu Abdul Ganiyu, responding to some of the concerns. Were your questions answered? Let us know. But how frustrating was that for you?
It wasn't.
It wasn't?
So let me be honest, it wasn't. You know, I'm not a business owner. I don't really get a lot of calls. Or no, let me say, I don't make a lot of calls. I'll send you a text.
Oh, you're that. Yeah. You get a lot of calls. You don't make a lot of calls.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an international superstar like me, obviously.
Celebrity one.
Yeah, celebrity one. You know, you're in demand and people want to talk to you. And talk about people want to talk to you. Please call us on 030-221-1691, 030-221-1692. Let's go to Kumase. And who's on the line?
Abindao.
Abindao, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Now,
how are you doing?
We're good, thank you. Would you like to share your thoughts with us on anything we've discussed today?
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, Akakpo, you're welcome from the climate conference program.
Thank you, Abindao.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that still there are numerous answers that they are giving which are not satisfactory, because if you consider the few that have intentionally refused to register, what of those with genuine reasons that they are not able to access their cars and they can't register? So they have to just suspend it and then sustain, so that when the NIA comes with the communication that everybody has been issued with the Ghana card, then they can take any action. But as of now, no matter reasons that they have said, there are many people. My mother, for instance, she hasn't gotten her card, and whenever she asks that it must be supplied on the bulk to the community, and she can't go alone for it. Up till now, she hasn't gotten her Ghana card. So with this, what fault is her that she should suffer for it? So I think that they should just suspend it, so that when the cards are fully supplied to everybody, then they can take any necessary action that they want. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see if we've got another caller. Do we have another caller to share their thoughts?
I think we'll get another one coming through. At least we can get one more coming through. Share your thoughts with us right before we wrap and get ready for JoyNews Desk. The number to call 0302-211-691 extension 2. But interesting thoughts he was sharing there.
Very interesting, but I want to go to our Facebook page. Where we're asking if you had 100 million Ghana cedis, where would you invest?
That question as well.
Yeah, where would you invest?
100 million Ghana cedis. Like not old cedis, current cedis, Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Charlie, I would invest in farming.
Okay.
real estate, these two areas, and transportation. Off the top of my head, I would go into those, definitely.
Well, let's go to the Upper West region, and Beidou joins us. Beidou, good morning.
Morning.
You can go
I
ahead
want
with your thoughts.
find out that this is a certain problem for you.
So, Beidou, I need you to do me a favor and turn down the volume of your television set.
Yeah, I want to find out something from you.
Go ahead.
Beidou, next time you call us, please turn down the volume of your television set. Yeah, so that we can have.
Unfortunately, we couldn't have the conversation. So next time you call, just go straight to the point, lower the volume on your set, and listen to us on the phone, not via your TV. But Mapito, there's quite a treat going down in South Africa.
Oh yeah, how's it? You know, how about treating your family to a summer holiday in South Africa? Come journey to South Africa for a good time in our beautiful country. Get to know the locals and our languages. If you're looking to let your hair down and relax, or you're just in the mood for some fun, family-friendly adventures, South Africa has got everything you need. This summer, wozanila and experience a holiday worth talking about. Benjamin?
Well, hello, Ghana. Happy moment is here. Let's storm World Cup Qatar 2022 with Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water from Casapreco Company Limited. All you have to do, buy your favorite Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water, and text the 4-digit unique number on the neck of the bottle, the short code *780#. Choose option 2, follow the prompts on all networks for free. You could be one of the lucky winners to this year's World Cup draw in the monthly draw. You can also win TVs, fridges, microwave ovens, mobile phones, home theaters, free drinks, and more instantly. So don't waste time. Grab a bottle of Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water, and let's storm Qatar this World Cup. This promotion is on the NLA Caritas platform, and this advert is FDA approved. Terms and conditions do apply. Anyway, so that is how we draw the curtains of the conversation. It's been fantabulous. It's been supercalifragilisticexpialidocious having you on the show.
It's been Mnandi. Take care. See you tomorrow.
And that's how we say goodbye to you. Of course, JoyNews Desk up next. Do stay.